What's good? What's good? What's good, fans? This is your man Cam, and I got my man Clevon up in the Northwest. What you got on today? The Dodger blue and white? Is that what you're wearing?
Oh man, this little powder blue Euphoria shirt, Euphoria hat, just doing just lounging.
All right, fans. This is 155 show 155 episodes of Voice of the Fans podcast. This week, man, we got a lot to go through this week, Clevon. We got an NFL opening week starting tomorrow. We got some potential NBA trades. One of these trades, man, I told you about. You laughed at me, but I told you about one of these trades up here that I heard about. We're gonna go through the NFL predictions or weekly predictions. We got some coach of the year stuff, player of the year, rookie of the year stuff we're gonna talk about. As always, we got this week in history that we're gonna go through, and then fans, he's not gonna want to do this, but we can revisit. We had our fantasy football draft on Sunday. I'm not sure Cleveland gonna want to talk about that. I'm not sure he's gonna want to revisit that because, my team is looking stout. Number 2 pick, draft pick, Aaron Jones.
And who'd you pick with that number 2 pick?
Number
Cam?
2 pick, I took Aaron Jones.
Oh, okay.
I took Aaron Jones
with the second pick in the draft.
With the second
Portland
pick in the draft.
Trailblazers select Greg Oden.
He went to the Portland Trailblazers. No, in all seriousness, man, I was a little. I don't know if you recall it, but if you was online, man, somebody want to call me and get some tutorials and stuff.
Man, I don't remember none of that. 5 minutes before I remember it being your turn to draft, and you said, "Ooh, Aaron Jones over Derrick Henry looks good."
Aaron Jones catching out the backfield, man. So okay. Henry, he just can't keep. You there? Can you hear me?
Gotcha.
All right, man. I'm not sure what happened there. We had a little freeze out, man. But nonetheless, man, we talking about your.
I think we were talking about you drafting Aaron Jones with the number 2 pick,
and the computer went whack on me. Yeah, man, that's we started off on a bad footing. Like I said, I had some distractions coming my way at the time, so I was a little flustered, but we pulled through. Our draft pick is solid, but we're gonna get to that if you want to, because I know my team is solid, even with Aaron Jones as the number 2 draft pick overall. My team is solid, so we got a lot to talk about, man. Again, this is week 155 of the Voice of the Fans podcast. It is September 8th, 2021. Cleveland, each and every week. Well, before we get started with the numbers, man, I want to give a shout out to those of you tuning in, however you're tuning in, whether you're on the walk, walking the dog, whether you're running errands, whether you're at the gas station getting some gas. We thank you for tuning in to the Voice of the Fans podcast. Want to also give a shout out to the guys at HNB Media TV for their production. And however you're listening to us, however you're watching the show, if you're not tuned in, if you're not subscribed to HNB Media TV, go ahead and hit after the show, subscribe to HNB Media TV. Or if you're not subscribed to Voice of the Fans podcast on YouTube, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Voice of the Fans podcast on YouTube. Make sure you get this show, and you get a lot of different NFL content, NBA content, soccer content. We're gonna have some USC, University of Southern California content coming up this weekend. So we got a lot of content. Whether it's
how are we doing that?
Whether it's NCAA college football, whether it's MLS, American League Soccer, whether it's boxing, you can check out Voice of the Fans. Check out Voice of the Fans on YouTube, man. You can get a lot of different sports content that you should be enjoying. And like I said, it's September 8th, 2021, Cleveland, week 155. And when you think of the number 8, who comes to your mind first, or who would the number the best?
The number 8 who comes to mind first would probably be Cal Ripken Jr.
Cal Ripken Jr., wow.
I think he probably wore it the best.
He wore it the best. Oh, wow. Who comes to my mind first is that power forward from the Seattle Supersonics dynasty back in the day, Mr. Lonnie Shelton.
Oh,
that's who comes to my mind first. I always, I thought I was going to be Lonnie Shelton until I realized Lonnie Shelton was like 6'8", 270 pounds. But Lonnie Shelton was a beast. He was one of my favorite players back in the day. But then, come on, Kobe Bryant, number 8. I mean, number 8 was unreal. Number 8 was just, need I say more? He was just unreal. Improved his game year after year after year, even after winning the championship.
I will say, Cam, that my favorite Kobe is the 8 and not the 24, because the 8 was a little bit more of a killer.
Number 8 was a monster.
The 24 was a little bit more of a, meticulous type of, wear you down and just, I know what I can do by this point. But the number 8 was just with the fro and way to Sacramento was just,
Number 8 was a monster. He was young. He was hungry. Number 8 was a man. Not even being a Laker fan, I really appreciate number 8 in his game was just so impressive. The number 55. You can go a lot of different ways right here. I know you're going to say Brian Bosworth, but I thought Junior Seau probably wore that number the best. And he's the first guy to come to my mind.
I feel the same way. I went a little bit back and forth with Oral Hershiser just because he had that dominant 88. Not quite sure if it's enough to make him the best player to ever wear that number. I would kind of tend to agree with you, Junior Seau.
Yeah, Seau was, he played all heart, all soul, all the time, and his relentlessness was undeniable. So I heard Asante Samuel Sr. talking on the airwaves I think it was last week, and it sounded like you guys had a conversation. It sounded like you and him must have been talking about Coach Belichick before our fantasy draft over the weekend, because he came out saying the same thing as you would say. He's just another coach without Tom Brady, and how long did you guys talk? What else did you guys talk about for him to say some crap?
Oh, man, we talked at length about all kinds of things, just, life struggles and, just, how to be a better man, a better human being, how to contribute to society and,
take shots.
And within our conversation, we were like, so is it coaching or talent? He's like, oh, man, it's talent. You see what Bill's doing without Tom, right? I said, word. Yeah.
Crazy. That's what he said. He said, he said just another coach, man. That was absolutely. And I don't know if if you should have called me up so I can refute that and I can help clear his mind, jog his memory a little bit, because if it wasn't the coach who drafts him, 199. Even though he didn't take him in the first, second, third, or fourth round, he still drafted him, right? Even though he didn't start him, right away, he did decide to go with him after Drew Bledsoe was healthy, and he saw that this kid could stand still in the pocket. He could stand there strong, confidently, and make the right throws. Right? He still did decide to pick him up after that. Right? So that's a coach who have to kind of make that decision. He did, if I remember correctly, he had rings before he went to New England. That's why New England wanted him. Right? He had jewelry before he showed up in Foxborough, if I remember correctly. So he had to have some cachet or some reason that the teams were following, the players were listening to him and following his leadership, right? And that's because he had rings, and that's because he's been there and done that.
He most certainly did. I mean, he coached a defense with linebackers like Carl Banks and Lawrence Taylor.
Yeah.
Just saying.
He did also facility. He was the head coach of the Cleveland Browns and had them on the way to the playoffs before Art Modell pulled the rug out from under him and said, "We're going to Baltimore." You probably don't remember that, as most fans wouldn't.
I most certainly do remember that, Cam. I know it was a very tumultuous time at the time, but I'm just saying you're going to see what Bill Belichick is able to accomplish without Tom Brady.
So
I believe Mac Jones is the starting quarterback right now, right?
So I think I said this when we were doing the draft. We were looking at the NFL draft predictions. I believe I said Mac Jones was the most quarterback ready to start today. He was ready to start today, and it just so happens he goes to a team who needs kind of what he brings to the table.
Mm-hmm.
When Bill Belichick back in 2001 is when Drew Bledsoe got hurt. It was like 3 games into the season when Drew Bledsoe decided to run down the sidelines and take on Mo Lewis like he was, Earl Campbell or somebody. And he got hit so hard his sternum damn near ruptured. Bill Belichick apparently had thoughts of starting the season with Tom Brady that season because he had already seen what the kid was doing in the preseason. And even though it would have been his second year in the league, if I remember correctly, I think it was his second year in the league. He had saw what the kid was able to do, but they had just signed Drew Bledsoe to that $100 million contract, right? So it would have been a stain on the organization had the head coach sit the $100 million quarterback down in favor of this young quarterback. Apparently, that set with Bill for all these years, and Bill said, made it a pact to himself. I'm just gonna go with the better talent out there, and that's what he did this time. I'm confident. I know it sounds crazy. I know they're in the division. I know I'm not gonna, I think the Dolphins are gonna get the best of them this season.
Oh, hey, look who wants to put his 305 cap back on. Look at him.
However,
ain't that cute? Cam, I'm seeing this little ticker, while you're making your little comments. I don't see you saying the Miami Dolphins ain't gonna make the playoffs. So Steve Nelson has it just in print right there, just going along the ticker every day. Isn't that what you was running your mouth saying earlier?
I said they won't make the playoffs.
Maybe not. I'm sorry. I don't want to put words in your mouth.
Did you say that on the ticker? I said they're not going to make it. Do you disagree?
Okay, yeah. Well, I would love to see that on the ticker.
Do you disagree? If you disagree with that, and that's a bone for contention, then that might go on the ticker. But if you agree with me, why is there's no sense of putting that on the ticker?
You can just put Cam /Clevon. Like we agree on that. Highlight it if you want to.
I don't think it's no reason.
In lime green. I mean, man. I
don't think it's no reason for it to
Dolphins won't make the playoffs again.
We already established that. We agree on that. There's no reason to keep bringing that up. But I know why you want to bring it up. But,
okay. Well, I mean, you were just making some type of point that other teams within the division and that kind of thing. So I just
other
wasn't
teams
sure.
in the division, like I don't think it's the I don't think the Dolphins are far behind. I don't have the Patriots making the playoffs either, so I think they're going to be battling for that number 2 position in the AFC East. And I don't have either one of them making the playoffs. But I just want to finish the comment on Bill Belichick and his ability to identify talent and then put talent in the proper place for them to be successful. I mean, that's been proven. And some of you guys want to give Asante Samuels, yourself, want to say he's just another coach without Brady. Well, Asante Samuel clearly don't know the history of the NFL for him to make that statement. And I wish you would have called me up so I can clarify with him and help him recall some of the historic events in the NFL that included one Mr. Bill Belichick and the championships that he won, and the Super Bowls that he won and the job that he's done. See, so some of that went unknowledged, and then some of that even went unidentified by the people who was interviewing. So I just want to make that point clear.
Yeah, well, no question, he is the greatest, coach of all time, and I think a lot of that had to do with the talent that he had around him. But we will soon see, won't we, Cam?
Yeah,
if you don't have you making the playoffs for the second straight year, the greatest coach in the history of of the NFL. So
yeah, that's what I have. The San Francisco playing their musical chairs with their quarterbacks, man. How do you think that's going to fare? Do you think they're going to do that in the regular season? And how do you think that's going to fare in the regular season?
I certainly hope not. I know that during our draft day we had some conversations with regards to this. Fans, please check out the draft 2021 of the Voice of the Fans and how it all panned out, and watch Cam. Anyways, but watch Cam what he does with that spectacular number 2 pick, who he ends up with all of those other players on the board. But at any rate,
well, he ain't gonna leave that one alone.
I digress. These things can happen, and we'll just have to see.
you try to act like you don't know what was going on. I'm being pestered by somebody of why their fucking video don't work, and they got 2 screens on the TV.
It's hard being the commish, man. I had the commish hat on last year. It was rough. I had to pass it back.
Dwayne Brown reworks his deal with the Seahawks.
Yeah,
I mean, he's only going to be there 1 year. He's still going to be a free agent after this year. So, of course, the Seahawks don't want to do anything to make somebody feel comfortable about being in the city. Of course, they don't want to do that. But they just threw him a couple. Did they fill up his tank or something? Is that what they did? Fill up his tank, or gave him a Costco card to use for the season? Is that what they did for Dwayne Brown?
Amongst other things, I mean, they made some concessions, some financial incentives for him to reach. And when he reaches those, if he reaches those, yeah, he'll have a much larger salary. I mean, what are you going to do with a 36-year-old, left tackle? Not that he's not one of the best in the game, which he absolutely is.
Give him some security so he doesn't have to be worried about if he gets hurt, is he going to make the team next
Cam,
year?
the NFL is not about security. You know that.
I mean, come on. You asked what are they to do? Give the guy who's been successful for him, give him some security. But
they gave him as much security as they can give him.
They
worked it out.
Like that.
They worked it out. Dwayne Brown will be the left tackle. Nice.
Will Tyrod Taylor finish the season as starting quarterback for the Houston Texans?
That's up to Commissioner Goodell. That's not up to anybody else but him. So we shall see.
I mean, what's your thoughts? I think Tyrod,
as you well know, as we have discussed on numerous occasions, I think there's some more information that's going to be unleashed on the public, which will make that decision very simple. And I know that you have heard some excerpts from some of the things that he has said and done and didn't feel real comfortable about it. So if some things come out even more egregious than that, he won't see the field again, which is probably why the Miami Dolphins didn't trade for him.
Well, we got another. In fact, yeah, you reminded me of something. We have another conversation. Miami Dolphins pierced their head, and your boy Brian Flores.
My boy. Oh no. That's your squad player. So.
Yeah. Oh man, there's some troubles in the water down in the salty water down in South Beach. So yeah, we'll see how what happens, and we'll see once this information does drop, or once the league does decide to share this information, or whether Goodell decides to get involved. We'll see what happens. All I know is right now, the Houston Texans will be paying him right around $24 million this season, and what are they going to get from him? You know, he wasn't invited to mini camp. They said him just to kind of stay home. Is he going to be invited to the games, or is he going to travel with the team, or are they just going to leave him at home to play on his phone, which we know is part of the reason that he's in this trouble right now.
Oh wow! So now you turn out, Deshaun. You were covering him like the Hope Diamond just a few days ago, but now it's like
he's a
stay at home playing your phone. Wow.
I mean, that's if he can't come to the facility, if he's not traveling with the team, if he's not at practice, if he's not welcome at practice, what else is they're telling him to stay home basically? And then again, him staying at home is some of the reasons. Him at home and playing on the phone is some of the reasons that he's having this issue he's having now. Like, bring him into the facility, make him part of the team, have him fucking play your game. You're paying him. You're going to be playing him amongst the best in the league, like 5 times more than you're paying the quarterback who's starting for you on Sunday.
Well, I think I think the biggest reason for that not happening is because he's been accused of sexually assaulting like 25 people. So
it's not sexually assaulting.
So football over everything. I mean, that's an SEC thing. That's not an NFL thing, Cam.
It's not.
The audience is so much bigger and greater, and so much more, culturally accepting of certain things, and not culturally accepting of certain things. That, yeah.
See the cry.
If he was a starting quarterback for the University of Alabama, he would just be playing until somebody said something. But that's not what this is.
Why is it different for an NFL team?
Because SEC doesn't understand the difference between life and football.
You're right.
It's just football. There's no variance.
But to clarify, it's not sexual assault. It's sexual misconduct, which can be any number of things.
All 25 cases are just sexual misconduct. None of them are sexual assault.
None of them were assault. There was no assault going on, and see that's what Roger Goodell needs to do a better job.
Well, hey, Cam, I'm not a lawyer, and neither are you. So the original question was, when is he going to see the field? And I said that's up to Commissioner Goodell.
That is up to Goodell. So, kind of stemming off of one of our early questions, how many games will Mac Brown win for the Patriots this season?
7.
So you got them going 7-11. Okay, we'll see.
7-10.
7-10. Interesting. I mean, that's interesting. That's kind of
I mean, that's best case scenario. Really, I honestly think that it's going to be like, wow, is that Belichick coaching really going to make Mac Jones that guy? I don't think so. And neither do you, really.
So wait, I didn't understand the last comment. Were you saying that it might not be 7 games?
It might not even be 7. I mean, I'm being optimistic with the 7.
Okay, what are you willing to put on that? What are you willing to put on that right now? Mac Brown and the Patriots win more than 7 games.
We have that as the over/under. Let me give it some thought here, Cam. By the end of the show, I'll decide if I want to go with the under or not. I would definitely go under 8 games.
Well, 7. Don't try to change the number now. Don't
I mean,
try to change
if
it
the
now.
over under was 8 games, yeah, I'm taking the under. 7, I feel he might hit the mark, but 8, yeah. I feel confident with him not winning more than 8 games.
All right, I'm going over on that.
You went over on the 8?
I'm going over on the 8.
Oh, write that down. Oh,
I'm writing it down right now. Mac Brown leads the Patriots to over and under. Now, caveat: if Mac Brown should get hurt anywhere in this 5, 6, 7 games, this is over. This is off, right?
no, he's an NFL starting quarterback. He's playing, NFL football. That's part of it.
No, it's not part of it. If we're saying Mac
It
Brown
absolutely is part. Injury is part of the game.
If we saying Mac Brown leads these guys to more to 8 games.
Well, part of that is availability, right, Cam?
Yeah, but he has to be healthy to do that. If he's not healthy, he can't do that.
I'm not giving you some insurance for injury card, man, in the NFL. Absolutely not.
Clevon says under.
Under 8. And fans, just to let you know, we are going to come out with a spreadsheet of all of these wagers and what they actually encompass and what the payout is if what the other person says doesn't happen. And you can follow along like the rest, like me and Cam. That would be splendid. What do you think about that, Cam?
Yeah, I think that's great. So
cool.
So why isn't it ticking for me? But we're gonna have to figure that out. Right now, it just shines brightly in Clevon's face right now.
Yeah, and fix the spelling of my name at some point. That would be cool too. But yeah.
Did I butcher that?
A little tad bit.
Okay, excuse me, sir. But right now, it's just gonna.
Right now, it's just gonna be like I'm just kind of I've actually kind of going through my head like where do I want to eat? Like where do I want to hang out and celebrate this type of thing? In what manner do I want to do this when Mac Brown is not the answer? And I haven't quite decided yet, but it will be.
There you go.
It will be illustrious.
We got it right.
No, it still says it's still wrong, but that's okay.
We gotta get it right, man. We gotta get it right. We gotta get it right. Is that better for you? Is that better for you?
Oh, I mean, it's correct. So yeah, that's better.
Is that better for you? Okay. Yeah, we're gonna have to get by next week, fans. We're gonna have these. Some of them are already decided what's on the payola, but we can't let Clevon ride too long without understanding what his penalties will be. Yeah. Le'Veon Bell signs with the Ravens amidst their RB injuries, the running back injuries. Man, they signed Le'Veon Bell. Will he make an impact for the Ravens this season?
I believe he's on the practice squad, right, Cam? I don't think he's on the regular roster. So
yeah, I mean, come on. He's not going to stay on that. He's going to not stay there for too long. If he can do anything, if he can provide anything to the team, he'll be in the he'll be on the regular roster come by at least next week. So, but yeah, do you think? I mean, Edwards. I know you drafted Edwards in the fantasy draft, but Edwards is going to have to step aside. I mean, you can still rely on him in the goal line.
Oh, if this was 2017, absolutely, but it's not. It's 2021.
So you don't think he has anything left in the tank?
He's had numerous opportunities to do things, and it has not come to fruition. I don't think it's going to come to fruition in Baltimore.
We'll see. I think he'll actually play there.
Should have been a better pro. Should have been a little bit more mature. Should have understood the opportunities that were presented to him. And
I mean, that year
probably
off
a little
hurt.
bit too late.
The year off hurt, where we went to go jet ski and make rap albums, right? That year off hurt and tried to come back, and he got it back from the Jets, but nothing ever happened. What do you think when you heard T.O. say he's gonna knock the chunky soup out of Donovan McNabb? What's your thoughts on that one? Do you want to? Now you've been down on Jake Paul and him fighting Tyrone Woodley and him fighting Nate Robinson. Would you watch T.O. and Donovan McNabb get in the ring? No interest in that at all, huh?
No. and hopefully Donovan McNabb doesn't have any interest in that.
No, I don't.
I mean, Terrell Owens is one of those guys that as a physical freak, right. You can't name 10 better.
Yes.
The speed, the jump, the length, the strength. No.
Yeah, I don't think
Terrell's not some dude you just walk up on. You know what I'm
saying? Right.
Attitude aside.
no attitude including you have to pay attention to the attitude too. That's part of the mix right there.
I mean, when I say attitude, I mean just how you feel about him as a person. Like maybe you just don't like him, but that doesn't mean he's not a physical freak, man.
Yeah.
No.
You're just not chiming up on him.
No.
That's right. So your boy, man, Brian Flores, man. Come on, dude. Mm-hmm. So, NFL's defensive player this season, 10 interceptions last year, and he's not named your team captain? Like, what's going on in there? You just want to you just trying to needle the guy? You just trying to needle the guy? You just not allowing? Is this the Bill Belichick, Pete Carroll complex you're having, where you just can't allow your players to be comfortable? You just
are you talking about the holdout that demanded a trade? Is that the player you're talking about? Who are you talking about?
Yeah, Xavier Howard, the guy who held out,
demanded a trade.
Right. Well, no,
pay me or trade me.
Pay me or trade me. So they gave him.
Captains don't do that.
They didn't extend this. I mean, is Aaron Rodgers not the captain of the Green Bay Packers? What are we talking about?
Yeah, that's the MVP of the league, and that's a completely
totally
different situation. He's been in Green Bay for 19 years. Are you trying to put Xavier Howard and Aaron Rodgers in the same conversation?
Aaron Rodgers was the league MVP.
Okay, so who's captain then? Who's captain in front of Xavier Howard?
I don't know, and it better not be Tua Tagovailoa running out there with a C on his chest.
If it's your starting franchise quarterback, then how are you going to be upset with that?
Because he's lucky to be he's sitting in there because Roger Goodell won't make a decision and have his replacement on his way to Florida. Because as soon as Roger Goodell makes a determination on what's going on with that guy, Tua's not going to be there very long, and you know this. So, but why are you trying to keep the best player? Why are you trying to stay at odds with the best player? That's what I'm trying to figure out.
I'm not trying to stay at odds with the best player. Just letting the best player know that just being because you threw a tantrum and got more money doesn't mean that you're the leader of our team. It's more to being leader of a football team, Cam, than just being the best player, as you well know. We were just speaking about Terrell Owens. Has he ever been the captain on any team? No, because he's not a captain material. You have other people that will embrace the role, the leadership, the commitment to it. Xavier Howard's just not that dude. I mean, Flores is in that room every day. Flores is on that field every day. How often?
I know exactly why you're saying this. I know exactly why you're saying it, because as soon as we're done with the podcast, you're going to call John Snyder and Pete Carroll yourself personally to try to make a trade. That's exactly what you got going on right here. That's exactly what you're trying to do to try free.
Well, I mean, if he's not happy over there with all the money and all that, I mean, I don't know.
That's exactly what
there might be some conflict. I don't know, but just because you're the have talent doesn't necessarily mean you're going to be elected captain. Captain's a privilege. Captain's a responsibility.
Yeah, it comes with the. It's when people
And
follow
maybe
the captain.
Xavier just doesn't really understand all that. Maybe he just wants to be primetime. Was primetime ever the captain on any team he played for? No. Some people just aren't captain material, Cam.
The best
Talent does
player.
not make you a captain.
Talent. You're right. Talent does not make you a captain. However, it does not allow you to be the pincushion for the head coach either. Just because you are the most talented on the team. If that
Well,
guy
I
wants to
mean,
be the
it
captain, name
sounds
him the
like
captain.
it sounds like he might end up the same way Minka Fitzpatrick ended up a few years back.
And again, uh, 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 that'll be another. That'll be another pin in the cushion of Brian Flores. That's another sticking point. Another reason for Dolphin fans not to be ecstatic about what's going on down there in South Florida. If he can't, uh, I can go. There's a number of things I can go down the line and name, but here's just another one thing to add. Example 13C or 135C for fans to realize Brian Flores may not be the guy in South Florida. That's what this is telling me. He may not be. He may not actually have the pulse of the team like everybody thinks he does. This is a number example 135C. Um, Cleveland, as we know, man, this is an exciting week. Tomorrow we got NFL football. This time tomorrow, it'll be around the third or fourth quarter, and we'll be identifying the Tampa Bay Buccaneers probably pulverizing the Dallas Cowboys. So as we go, as we look through it. Oh wow. As we look through this, we're gonna see. Man, I got some mistakes in this. As we look through this, we're gonna see. Let's go through our predictions here to see what we got what the week looks like for both of us. And let me pull this up here. All right, Cleveland. So we both got Tampa Bay. Um, you got Seattle over the Colts, right?
I do.
We both have New England. Who do you got over the? Are you taking the Eagles or the Falcons?
Falcons.
The Falcons. Buffalo over the Steelers.
Yes.
So we disagree on the Eagles so far. You got
Oh, you have the
Minnesota.
Eagles?
Yeah, I got the Eagles.
Oh,
I got the
nice.
Eagles pulling that out.
Nice.
I got the
Nice.
in Atlanta. Yeah, we agree on Minnesota, San Francisco, Tennessee. You have the Chargers. What's up with that?
Washington football team traveling across the country. I'm not sure.
No. It's the other way. Chargers are going to.
Oh, it's in Washington.
Yeah, Chargers are going out there.
Forgive me. The way that you had it on the spreadsheet, I thought it was the other way around. Didn't do the proper research to figure that out. But makes it a little bit more interesting. But I still think that the Chargers can pull that game out. I think the AFC West formidable opponent can probably get with the Washington football team.
I got the football team winning that game. Carolina over the Jets. Houston, surprisingly enough, Houston is Jacksonville is favored, but I got Houston winning that game.
Yes.
I got KC over the Browns. Probably the best game of the weekend, right? KC over the Browns.
Rematch.
Green Bay over the Saints. A lot of people are picking the Saints, man, to have a bounce back season without Drew Brees. That would be telling if they have a better season this year without Drew Brees. If they just go right back to the playoffs, that'd be a telling season. We both have Denver over the Giants, the Rams over the Bears, and Baltimore over the Raiders, right?
Correct.
And our points against the spread now, I have Philly minus or plus the 3.5 because again I have them over the Falcons.
Thought it was 3, but okay.
3.5. I got 3.5 on my sheet.
Okay.
Houston +3. Yeah, so you got Houston +3 as well.
Mm-hmm.
I got Baltimore +4.5. How are the Raiders favored over Baltimore? They're at home Monday night. That's I don't understand how they're favored there. You have Baltimore. You also agree with that, and the only difference in the picks against the spread is I have Philly +3.5. You got you have the Chargers +1.5, which is surprising. I didn't think he was a Herbert. I didn't think he was on Herbert like that.
Well, Austin Eckler is a great talent, so
Austin
we'll see what
Eckler
he
is a
can
great.
do
Austin
in
Eckler
that
is a
new
great talent.
offense. Which we'll find out very shortly if all the hype has been warranted. But I like their chances.
And then we're looking at our confidence picks. I have the Rams at number 1, Green Bay number 2, KC number 3, San Francisco number 4, and Tampa Bay at number 5. You have San Francisco at 1, Baltimore at 2, Denver at 3, Green Bay at 4, Carolina at 5. Kind of make me root for the Jets. The Jets, let's see that. So there's our point. There's our predictions,
Mm-hmm.
and how we see it coming this week, Clevon.
And fans, we're gonna tally it up. And I believe Cam, we had talked about having kind of like a board where we kind of show exactly where we are, going into the next week, so fans aren't confused and we're not confused about the current status of what the what the competition looks like.
The fans don't let Clevon cloud your mind.
In every category, in all 3 of these categories.
I have a spreadsheet dating back to 2011, with my W's on here.
We're only talking about 2021.
Yeah, but the spreadsheet is available every week.
Spreadsheet's not going to help you, Cam. It's only going to be the picks that you're making this year.
Yeah, no, but we'll. That's the next step. Now you got your rolling. Your ticker at the bottom. To point out some of the ridiculousness that you spew. Next step is to get you a board out here that talks about that highlights for the fans where we are. So we got a couple of weeks. We can fill this out throughout the process. We got a couple of weeks to get this filled out, and then we can present it to the fans. So slow your roll there, pal. Let's take a little break here. When we come back, man, we're going to talk about the NBA. We got the Lakers. Your Lakers got a new signing. And then there's some potential drafts that could be made. And I want to get your conversation. I want to get your feedback on these potential drafts that could be made. Let's take a little break here, Clevon. Yeah, I like this ticker, man. It makes it easier. I don't have to.
Oh yeah, and then once we get the ticker going, and it will show the actual where we are in the head-to-head in all 3 categories. That's going to be dope. I like that.
Okay, Clevon. Welcome back, fans. Thank you guys for sticking and staying with the Voice of the Fans podcast. As I stated, it is September 8th, week 155 of the Voice of the Fans podcast. We're going to come back to some NBA, but we're going to come back to some NFL topics. But right now, we want to talk about the NBA, and the NBA celebrating their 75th anniversary this season. Clevon, with that being said, man, we're going to have to come out with our top before the season starts. We're committing that we're going to have to come out with our top 75 players in the NBA. Or I don't know if you want to come out with yours. I want to come out with mine. If you want to talk through this together, we're going to have to come up with the top 75 players. And your guy Bob Cousy, I can tell you right now, doesn't make the list. Okay, your guy who played for the Lakers, George Mikan, might not be on that list, man. So you're gonna have to be upset, and he might not be on the list, along with your boy Andrew Bynum might not make the list as well. Um, Eddie Jones, he might not make the list. Nick Van Exel might not make this list. So just getting you ready, prepared, man. Some of these your favorite Lakers might not make this list, and I don't. I hate to throw his name out there like this, but we wish the best of Cedric Ceballos, but he might not make this list either. I'm not sure if you've seen Cedric Ceballos, who is in the hospital with a respirator right now, but he was a former Laker. He might not make this list to top 75 either. So,
No, I understand. I mean, you can't have them all on there, so you get 7 or 8 at least. So,
I mean, I don't know if that might be a high number, but we'll have
is it
to talk
really?
through. Yeah, we might have to talk through that. Yeah, I mean, because you get Magic,
Well, I
Shaq,
mean, I'll just
Kobe.
say Elgin Baylor, Jerry West, Magic Johnson, James Worthy, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Shaquille O'Neal, Kobe Bryant, LeBron James. How many did I just name right there?
I
I left
mean,
Bob McAdoo off, not purposefully, but just now as I think about it. I mean, I got
again,
pretty deep into it pretty quick, huh? Yeah,
we
I
we
know.
we're gonna have
We'll
to
talk about
go.
that later, though.
Yeah, we're gonna have to go through this, but I just want to give the fans something to look forward to in the next couple 3 weeks because NBA season, believe it or not, is kind of right around the corner.
Sure is.
Um, did um, your boy Jordan DJ signs with the Lakers? He won't be on the top. Uh, DeAndre, he won't be on the top 75 list either.
That's okay.
Um,
We see him to rebound and block shots and be a space eater out there. He'll give up some fouls. He knows what he came to
oh,
do.
the fouls. That's what you need him for the fouls. Because I don't know, I don't see anybody feeding him like Chris Paul was feeding him to kind of resurrect his career, if you will.
Well, that's fine. And, we don't really need him to do all that. So,
So the Celtics make a deal for Hernan Gomez.
mhm.
He gets traded to the Celtics for Chris Dunn
Nice.
and Carson Edwards.
Hmm.
Is that going to make a difference for the Celtics? You think
Well,
Hernan
hopefully they have some
Hernan Gomez?
pieces in place so when they trade Jason Tatum to the Wizards, it'll all be good and they won't care.
You really think they're going to get rid of Tatum, huh? Um,
It's in the best interest of everyone, but I mean, it'll probably be after this season that they kind of figure that out.
okay, so speaking of NBA trades, KP Kristaps Porzingis going to the Pelicans to play alongside Zion. What do you think about that trade?
Is
This
that a
not
real
this,
thing? Did that
this is
happen?
not this is not no this is not finalized. This is not finalized. This is just some proposals I'm throwing out there of things that could,
No,
should, and
man.
would happen.
Yeah, man. Kristaps is not Big Easy style. You know,
What do
he
you think?
got his feet wet in New York, playing next to
So
Carmelo, kind of embracing the city. But yeah,
where you
New
want him?
Orleans would be a bit much for him, I think.
He don't play in New York and Dallas. You think New Orleans is gonna be too much for him?
Yeah. Mhm.
Interesting. Why do you think that?
Man, just culture shock and just the food and just kind of like the no holds barred, no rules really.
He might need some of that food actually. That might not be a bad thing for him. To go from 178 to probably 208 might not be a bad thing for him. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm not really liking the the match up there.
Um, and while you're trying to send Tatum to the Wizards, I'm not sure who that helps more, who you're looking forward to helping out. But why not send Pascal Siakam to the Wizards from Toronto? If that means the only way I don't like that if that means giving up Rui Hachimura. Outside of that, I think that would be a good move because he can kind of coach Rui up and use some of the experience that he has to kind of coach Rui up, help because Rory's still developing as we know. But give him another four man who's versatile four man that can really help help the Wizards out. What do you think about Pascal going to the Wizards?
Not a bad move. I'm not opposed to it. Depends on what you have to give up for it, like you're saying. But he's not Jason Tatum. He's not he's not an Olympic gold medalist type player. He's
Oh boy,
a really good player. Played in a
what is
really
it
good
about?
system. And
What is it about Tatum is that you feel is going to change people's lives?
I mean, Tatum can go for 50 on you at any time, man. I mean, he's not just some guy.
So
But I
why
mean,
would the Celtics just
he
give him
can't
up then?
carry Marcus Smart and Jaylen Brown and Taco Fall to the championship. I mean, it's he needs some more help.
Interesting. So if you went to the Wizards, what about sending Bradley Beal? They'd have to give up their number 24, the kid from Oregon. I'm having a brain fart on his name. If he sent it to Memphis, if you send Bradley Beal to
For
Memphis,
Dylan Brooks, no.
oh, it might be Dylan Brooks and a couple other players. But if you send him to Memphis to play alongside
Ja?
JJ and Ja, now he's been crying for some help, some talent around him, and he can drop 30, 40, or 50 on you at any time. So that gives him, because we know Ja's kind of a scorer, right? He's not like a shooter. So you actually put a shooter on the floor with him. Um, and the same with Jaren Jackson, you kind of give him a shooter to kick it out to. Now that helps them both their games out because they have that man behind the 3-point line who can pull up from three or can kind of fake and go to the hoop. What do you think about that? Bradley Beal going to Memphis Grizzlies.
Unfortunately, Cam, the Memphis Grizzlies are stuck in purgatory. They're too good to be bad and not good enough to be good. So they're
So
always
that,
going to be in that 6 to 8
so
spot.
so they need to make a power move like this here to kind
That's
of
not a power move. No,
jumpstart that team.
it's not enough.
What do you? That doesn't get into the playoffs in the
No,
West.
weren't they already in the playoffs? I mean, the
No,
play-in game. I
they
mean,
were in the
he gets
playing
into
game.
a 7 seed. It's the
Bradley
Western
Beal.
Conference of the NBA, Cam. It might
Bradley
get him to a
Beal.
7 seed.
Come on, Cleveland. You come on. Okay, depending on who they got rid of, obviously Dylan Brooks would be the first to go. Um, if they had to get rid of Clark or one of their centers, um, Jackson Hayes plays for Pelicans. They have another big man who I'm falling short on his name right now that they can trade. They can trade.
Exactly that. You're falling short on his name, and that means that he ain't nobody. And that means that the Memphis Grizzlies are exciting to watch, and they can win some games. They can upset some people. They cannot advance in the playoffs of the Western Conference of the NBA.
Man, you're discounting the combination of that combination of
Oh, that's a devastating backcourt. That sounds like a Damian Lillard, CJ McCollum backcourt. Devastating. What does that get
uh,
you?
is that
It's not
uh,
better. Don't even say that that's a better backcourt than Dame Dollar and CJ because it's not even close.
um you don't think so, huh?
No. Ja's exciting. He's a talented player. He can get his own shot, and I mean, I don't want to call him the Keenan highlight film because someone else already has that nickname. But Ja definitely is a Sports Center worthy watch. Yeah.
So I'm
Doesn't mean
saying
that he can
this.
do anything in the Western Conference though.
Shit. Does DeAnthony Melton, Dylan Brooks, now Desmond Bain, they just drafted him. He can't go. Um, Eunice Valanciunas, yeah, he can go. There you go, right there. Eunice Valanciunas, Dylan Brooks, DeAnthony Milton. I throw in a number one for that. Go ahead and send Bradley Beal that way. You don't think the lineup of Brandon Clark, Ja Morant, Bradley Beal, Jaren Jackson get you higher than the 7th seed in the West? Wow. Wow, that's a 5 or 6 seed in the West right there. Yeah, man. You now again, as I stated, now Bills points, if he stays at 26 to 30 points a game, because he's going to get all the shots that he wants. That's going to open things up for Ja. Now his points are going to go up, his assists are going to go up, and it helps Jaren Jackson out, because now you don't have them sagging on him because they don't have a shooter. Dylan Brooks was not a shooter, was not drawing anybody out. I think that opens that up for him. But anyway, the one trade I did see kind of came in my mind was Ben Simmons to the Hornets. You get Ben Simmons and what he does on that Hornets team, playing alongside Young Ball. They got Big Mac beyond Bowl, don't they? That kind of helps Young Ball grow up and develop, because they had a young team. Nobody played defense on their team. Ben Simmons comes in there and eliminates that as becoming your defensive stalwart as at a sense, and can help some of these young guys out. What do you think about that potential trade?
Horrible place for him. I mean, they don't have any anchor.
Well,
He would be.
we talked about how he needs a place where he can go and shine.
Yeah, but he needs someone that has veteran leadership and also a plethora of shooting, because you're going to be starting someone that can't score any points. So I don't want to call him the new Dennis Rodman. I mean, he does a lot of other things that are super nice, but you're not expecting him to score any points.
You got Mikal Bridges scoring as your.
Oh wow, for real?
You got Gordon Hayward, putting up points. They traded Malik Monk, Terry Rozier.
We should have a ticker for the over/under. How many games do you think Gordon Hayward's going to play?
They got Terry Rozier to score your points.
Oh, for real? Terry Rozier?
Again, none of these guys are playing defense.
No, man.
That was their problem. Nobody played defense. So you get him out on the wing.
The Hornets do need another player. They do need another marquee player, but it's not Ben Simmons. He doesn't do enough. Doesn't help him out enough. And he needs too much help from other
players around him.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Golden State's the best fit for him because they have so much scoring. They don't really need any scoring. But who are you going to give up to get him?
I mean, he's
Andrew Wiggins has proven to not be a very good trade chip, so they're not going to give up Wiseman. So what do you want? You want just a straight, and we've discussed this, just a straight, Draymond, just the older Draymond for the young Draymond, but then you get Draymond.
That's the only even trade that would happen. I mean, that's the only way that would go down, because you're right. I'm not giving up Wiseman. Wiggins I might take him, but I'm trying to ship him out. I think Hornets is a good move, man. They might have to get another team involved, but I think the Hornets would be a good move. He gets to play with a young energizer. They need defense. That's the biggest thing, is they need what he brings to the table. And let these other cats who just want to score, and then he can be the defensive stalwart. So I think that's a trade that we might see happen. Clevon, I'm not sure if he texts you already, your guy, your new friend Steve Ballmer, but the ground open ceremony is next week. They're breaking ground for the new stadium. I will be there.
It's fantastic.
I will be there.
So happy for you guys. So proud of what Steve's been able to accomplish in such a short time.
I will be there and get a chance to holler at Steve, and I'm gonna see exactly what you guys have been talking about. With you and if he received any of your texts, your if he's you trying to text him now? I'm gonna see if how he feels about your patronage right now, your fake patronage that you've been giving over here, your fake praise that you've been getting over the last 3 or 4 months. I'm gonna see how he feels about that for real, because that's your guy. You guys been communicating. I haven't heard from him.
Well, hey, man, you know how I feel about Steve and what he's been able to accomplish, and the way that we've been able to bury the hatchet about some of the perhaps the bad blood that's been going back and forth, over the years, and some of the things that kind of transpired just from the show that you and I do, and kind of the banter that we have back and forth. So Steve's a good guy.
Well, like I said, the groundbreaking is next week. Just got the word today, got the email, and we're gonna see how that goes and see what they got to say once they put the shovel to the dirt out here in Inglewood, California next week. So we'll have that to talk about next week, or no, in a couple weeks actually. We'll have that. Check it out on YouTube, man. Voice of the Fans on YouTube. We'll have some of the highlights to show from that day. Clevon, man, let's get back to the NFL. Let's take a little break here. Let's get back to the NFL. I want to talk about, obviously, this week in history, but then I want to get back and I want to talk about, before we get to the NFL, I want to talk about tennis, man. Naomi Osaka, Leylah Fernandez. What you think about those guys? The Stefanos Tsitsipas. What's your thoughts on the guy going to the locker room, for 8 minutes at a time during the match? What you thought? That'd be like me saying, "Here, let me take a break," and I go eat dinner and go for a shave while I leave you here ready to get at the fans. I mean, that just throws everything off, right? One thing, get your thoughts on Tsitsipas and how that impacts the players during a tennis match, let alone the U.S. Open. And then we had college football this past weekend, and get your thoughts on that. And then Albert Pujols was in the news. So we're going to take a break, Clevon, and then come back and talk about tennis and some NCAA football, and then we're going to get some more NFL content, talk about some picks for this year, NFL award for this year. So let's take a little break here, man. When we come back, we're going to have this conversation. Ballmer reply? Did Steve Ballmer reply to you?
I told him, sorry I couldn't make it to the groundbreaking ceremony. He's like, hey, man, I know what you're doing up there in Seattle. I know you got other things you got on your mind and, responsibilities. So
well, tell
he's
him
not
to
holding
shout
it
us
against
out.
me.
Tell him to shout us out while he's up there at the podium next week.
Oh, well, you'll be right there. So, I mean, you can already speak to our, relationship. And, I know you're already in good with him. You've already had interviews with him and whatnot, so he remembers your face, your name. And plus, you're Clippered in. I mean, shoot, you driving that Clipper ship.
Hey, I'm just on a boat this year. I'm just on the boat this year. Although we,
Oh, wait, hold up. You're not committed 100%?
100%, 100% as always. But
Okay.
this year, there's no predictions of delusions of
Oh,
grandeur.
so you won't call it a championship this year?
This year they can't call it no championship.
And that's wise. I mean, Kawhi Leonard probably won't play this year. So
yeah, I mean, so how could I? I mean,
he might. Depends on how he feels.
So. No, he's not. So let's get into it. Fans, as always, I want to thank you guys for sticking with the Voice of the Fans podcast. We have a lot of different content for you each and every week. This segment we want to talk about this week in history. As you know, Clevon, it's September 8th, 2021. So we want to talk about some of the things that's happened within this week in the past. Association for the Study of Negro Life and History, founded by Carter G. Woodson. This was back in September 9, 1915. September 7th, 1954, integration began in Washington, D.C. and Baltimore, Baltimore and Maryland public schools. They began integration back in September 7th, 1954. September 11th, 1959, Duke Ellington won the Spingarn Medal for musical achievement. You know, Duke Ellington was that man, right? And Cleveland, what do you remember? Where were you 2001, September 11th, 2001? Where were you at?
I was in my basement with my roommate Eric Hampton, in just kind of probably nursing a hangover. I was a little bit younger, and he came in my room and said, "Hey, man, you need to turn on your television." I was like, "Why?" "Just turn on your television." And then, unfortunately, I saw the tragic events that were transpiring, and it looked very surreal watching, Twin Towers fall to the ground and just all of the anarchy that, came with that. So, but that's
So
where I was.
that when you turned it on, the twin tower, the towers were falling.
I was watching one of the towers fall at a very awkward angle, and I was like, "What just happened? Is this like a movie?" Because you know how like you see movies and they're like, "Oh, the towers fell," and "Oh, this is happening." It's
Yeah, I know exactly how you feel.
like, what is this? Yeah. So it took a minute to kind of understand that this was reality and all the ramifications that came with that. But yeah, it looked like an action movie, like a rock, like the Rock kind of a movie, or a Vin Diesel type of movie. Like, but
I
it
know
wasn't. It was real.
I know what you mean exactly, man. And you know, prayers out to everybody who's impacted by the tragedies of 9/11, the terrorist attack. Um, wish the best to all those families, all the kids who grew up without, without a mother, without a father, um, because of what happened. At Cleveland, it was the weirdest thing. I was up in Seattle at the time, and I was in a hotel room just by Northgate, and I sleep with the TV on. So the TV was on. It was on NBC, ABC, one of the major, network TV, and I was late for work, so the whatever the alarm didn't go off or whatever. But so I just kind of roll up in the middle of my sleep, just kind of roll over, and then I heard them saying like the girl talking about one of the people were being interviewed on the street. I saw a plane go into the building. I'm like, and I heard that, and I was like what movie is this? I knew it was a TV. I'm like what movie is this? I never heard that line before. Like, okay, 6 in the morning. This has got to be news. This is kind of flashing through my head. It's like, well, it's 6 in the morning. It's not a movie because this was a show, right? And so I roll over now. I wear glasses, so my vision's kind of fuzzy without the glasses. So I looked over at the TV, and I could see the towers. I heard her say like a plane just went into the building. So I grabbed my glasses just in time to put them on, and as my eyes are focusing, I'm seeing the second plane going to the tower. It's like, and then now I'm like now I'm awake because I'm like rubbing my eyes. Like, what did I see? What I just thought I saw? Like, did what did that? Like, I'm like, what's going on? Like, what's going on? And man, it was the weirdest thing. So get up. I'm late for work. Jump in the shower. Head rush. For whatever reason, I'm speeding to work. Like I'm doing 90 on the 5, trying to get from Northgate to downtown. So I finally get there, And I tried to my boss was living in New York at the time, and so I didn't want to call him until I was at work. But my thing is like, let me get to work so I can call him immediately. So I get to work and I finally called him. I'm like, man, do you see what's going on? He's like, man, this is crazy, blah, blah, blah. He's like, just go home, spend it with your family, whatever, whatever. But I'm like so committed to work. Like I'm at work. I really don't want to leave. But we're watching it. We're watching it at the TV. So finally, I kind of got my shit together at work, and I go in the break room, and then that's when that right about 9:30 ish. I had already saw what was happening, and people walking around like, oh wow, can you believe this? And that's when I saw the tower start to collapse. And I was just like, oh my goodness gracious. Like, you've been in New York City, right?
Yeah.
And like any of those streets at any given time of day, especially in the morning. I mean, it was lunchtime out there, but like those streets aren't clear. Like there's people on the streets. And I wasn't. I was thinking more so the people on the street, not the people in the building. But as the building's coming down, I was thinking more just, what are these people on the streets? Where are you going? Like, there's
And
really no
why would you even be looking up to think that like 100-story building might be falling on you, right?
it's
That's
toppling
the
down on
most
you,
like, naive. I'm not naive, but I mean like that's like the furthest thing from your mind, right? I mean,
man.
example, you walking by, Seattle, you don't think the Columbia Tower is just gonna like fall on you, right?
Right?
Like that's
Yeah.
like the furthest thing from your brain. So their reaction to it had to have been, you know, sudden and slow to be perfectly. I mean, it's not funny at all. And I'm not trying to make
No.
light of it, but I mean,
No. I
that's just
understand. I
not what
understand
you're
what you're
looking
saying.
at or looking for. You're looking for a robber or a mugger, or I don't want to
Right.
get hit by this
That's
car. You're
right. That's
not
what you're
thinking like
watching
a
out for.
100-story building is going to fall on you.
So man, it was so crazy. It was just so crazy to watch that sequence of events kind of unfold. And then, so my job at the time was travel to different cities and kind of do start up these stores, these little construction tool stores. That was my job at the time. So I went to I went to Detroit, um, Seattle. I was in Seattle for like 6 months, um, doing that to a couple different stores. A store downtown Seattle, a store in Everett. Went to Hawaii doing this. Went to Northern California, but then they sent me later that year in 2001. In November 2001, I went to New Jersey. Um, I went to New Jersey, and then I also went to Flushing, New York. So two stores out there. But obviously, I was close enough where I could go to Ground Zero. And so I get to, this is kind of funny. So I wanted to check out like Ground Zero because just to kind of see what, get a better feel from what I saw it on TV, obviously, but I hadn't been there in person. I want to kind of get a better feel for what it was I was watching. So at that time, is completely redone now with the fountain and the new erection of the building. But at that particular time, like it was closed off for blocks. Like they had it blocked off. Like they can only block off so much because they're trying to keep businesses alive. But they had it. It was like a couple blocks away from the World Trade Center was blocked off, so you could not walk to the World Trade Center. You were a couple blocks away. Um, and it was right in the financial district. I don't know. You ever seen the Merrill Lynch Bull, the silver bull on the street?
Merrill
It was
Lynch.
right. Yeah, it's right in that area. So I wanted to find that bull as well. So I'm walking. Somebody told me I had drove there because I had a car, so I had drove and parked and got out, and I'm walking down the street, and a bus pulls up and it lets people get off the bus. 10, 12 people get off the bus, and so I'm walking in the direction of where the bull is. But when this lady gets on the bus, she's like we're walking almost shoulder to shoulder. It was kind of funny is because people in New York, they walk fast. Like she's at she's almost at a light jog, but she's walking. But it was almost at a light jog because she's moving so quickly, right? And I asked her, like, again, we're shoulder to shoulder, so it was like I felt I need to say something. I said, "Hi, good evening," or whatever. And I was like, "Where can you? Am I walking in the right direction of the bull?" She's like, "Yeah, it's just right up the block. Walk with me. I'll go with you. It's just a couple blocks up." I was like, "Okay." As we're walking, the other side of the street, a bus comes and drops probably about 30 or 40 people off. And she's like, "Man, I had just left as close as I can get to ground zero. I was just coming from there as close as I can get when I kind of bumped into her." And she says, "Man, these people, they come from all over to look at ground zero. They don't realize that people actually died in that building. Like my coworkers were died in that building. I had friends that died in that building. My office was in that building. I decided not to go to work that day when the building collapsed." She's like, and people, it's just so morbid. They're coming. I couldn't tell her I was just coming
You
from
were
there.
one of them,
I was
right?
one of them. But this is what she's telling me. It was kind of surreal, if you will. Like I'm walking with this New Yorker, and she's telling me this. Like I just, I can't believe people are wanting to see this. I was like, "Yeah, can you believe it? Where's that bullet again?" By that time, where she's like, "There it is, right there. I'm about to make a left here." So she went on, and she took. It was just a couple blocks away, but it was so quick, man. And just at that time, this was again. I was out there in November. That happened in September, so it was less than 2 months prior. So they had there was storefronts that were selling clothes. They had encapsulated this one particular store. I'll never forget it. They had took everything that was on the rack that was in front of the store that particular day. Some sweaters or shirts or whatever, some expensive stuff. But when the when the building fell, it blew off the glass, right? And there's dust and debris everywhere. So these shirts and these clothes that were on the rack, like a normal clothes rack, if you went to Nordstrom's and looking through shirts and stuff, how they were filled with dust and debris, and the shirts in them had the natural rips and tears in them from the glass that had hit them, and the concrete you could see that was all over. The white shirt is now kind of white and gray because of the dust, and they have the rips. They had just taken a couple of these carts, push them against the wall, and then build a kind of a plexiglass case around them, just so you can actually see kind of the destruction that it at least did with these clothes. It was just kind of amazing, and that kind of gave you a picture of kind of the rest of the street was like that. And so now, not only were you trying to, when I told you I was worried about the people, I was thinking about the people who were on the street as the building's coming down, but then the people in the surrounding areas, like as the buildings were coming down in the surrounding store, you're sitting at Starbucks, and then all of a sudden the window gets blown in and glass gets thrown at you and rocks and debris, and you don't have no idea why. And then they come to find out it's because the freaking World Trade Center collapsed here, a block or two away. Man, it was just the craziest thing. It was definitely a surreal feeling to go back there years later and kind of walk through the new World Trade Center. Some of the old remnants is there. Some of the old building structure is there. They have the steel stairways that people who were in the building. Some of the survivors like traveled down to get out of the old World Trade Center. Like some of those stairs are still there. It was kind of surreal to kind of go and experience that. It was crazy. It was September 11, 2001. Obviously, it never be forgotten, man. It's right upon us now.
Yeah.
20 years later, it's crazy to believe that it's been 20 years since that has happened.
It really is.
Yeah, it just kind of makes me feel old. So, I don't know. Is there anything else you want to add about that day?
You know, the one thing that I always took from that is just kind of the, like you were saying, you know, you came across someone that just happened to not go to work that day. You know, it was just kind of like all those stories of like the butterfly effect of like all these people that should have been there that for whatever reason weren't there, and all those people that were there like doing like, you know, something that they ordinarily wouldn't do. You know, like, oh, I usually don't see Terrence, but I thought I'd stop by and, surprise him, and, or, I usually go to work, but just wasn't feeling it, and, just didn't go. Or, I was just about to go, and, my water burst, so I couldn't go. There's all these reasons that people either were there or weren't there, and just how, life can be so very unpredictable at times is really what I took from that the most. And just like you're saying, like just the domino effect, like how it affects, people from that, were nowhere near the building, and just the chaos that ensues in a city with 20 million people when something like that happens. I mean, it's not like you just go, oh man, clean that up and, let's get back to work,
Oh, man. No.
It's nothing like that. And then just to see people kind of, show their true colors, and, ordinarily they wouldn't be good Samaritans, but they're good Samaritans. And, those type of are really more the stories that I take from it than obviously the reasons and the tragedy and all of that. But that's kind of what sticks out with me the most, I think.
Yeah, I've been back to New York a few different times since that event. When I went to work in New Jersey, I was out there for 3 weeks, from like the first of November to Thanksgiving, and I came home for Thanksgiving and then went back out there. So I was probably out there for a total of 6 weeks, and kind of lived that experience, if you will. Now, again, I was staying in New Jersey, and I worked in Flushings. Um, like for me to get from New Jersey to Flushings, Clevon, it was $30. 3 toll bridges, $30 a day. Like I don't know how people like that's $30 a day you need just to get to work. Like,
right.
And that's driving. I mean, that's not gas. That's to
Not
go.
parking.
That's not parking. That's to get from one. Jersey is, obviously it's a different state, but you have to cross one toll bridge, and then you have to once you get into New York, you have to cross 2 more toll bridges. That was $5 and $6 or whatever it was a piece just to get over to that side of town. Or it makes you can go through the city and make your commute. It took me like 50 minutes to get there, or to make that commute 2 hours if I wanted it to. It was. Right. It was kind of weird, but to live out there for that period of time and kind of get that feeling. I was out there, so maybe after a month of being out there, I was walking into. This was I wasn't even in the financial district where it went down. I was just out in New York, and I was walking across the street with the lady, and like not a lot of people. Everybody doesn't pay attention to walk signs. Either walk or don't walk. If you see a opening in the traffic and you think you can get it across the street, most people try to take it and get across the street. And so me and this lady, we were hustling across the street, and then the car start honking at us. Like, we're across the street, but the car wants to speed up and honk at us. You know how just saying get on the sidewalk or whatever. and the car honks at us, and the lady says, I never thought I would appreciate um, people being so rude and arrogant again. But honking, when the car was honking at us, like, get your ass off the street, right? But it's refreshing to hear that the car's honking at us again, because it's like we're getting back to normal life. And that was like, I get it. It was just kind of odd that the New Yorkers telling me this. It was a different type of living out there, man. But yeah, it took about 6 weeks for the world to kind of get back to normal, and not the world, but the area to kind of get back to normal and get back to the flow of things. Except for those people, as I think about it now, is like there were children who, again, they may have lost their father on the plane, or may have lost their mother in the office now. 5 or 6 year old who's 25 years old now.
Right.
I'm sure they have a whole different appreciation,
perspective,
of what 9/11 meant to them. But that it was that long ago, though, to say that these people are grown adults by now. Those children who were, I don't want to say orphans, but kind of,
lost
who
their
lost
parents in a
lost their
tragic
parents,
event.
however they lost them, mother, father. It was just that's how long ago it's been. Yeah, so that's wild, man. Another story, man, we have from a history story is September 8th, 1986. Herschel Walker made his first start in the NFL after leaving the New Jersey Generals, speaking of New Jersey, in the USFL. So Herschel Walker finally comes to the NFL, and it wasn't long after that he was traded, huh? Forget the exact date of the trade, but uh, the Cowboys, Jerry signed Jimmy, went to go coach him in '89. So it wasn't. He spent about 3 years with Cowboys before he got
About 3 years underneath the star. Yeah.
before he got sent up to the Minnesota, and everybody thought Jimmy was crazy for doing that. So let's take it back to Flushings. We got Naomi Osaka vows to take a break from tennis. Um, kind of appears she lost her joy for playing tennis. What's your thoughts on Naomi Osaka saga?
Um, I thought that it was validated a lot of the things that I kind of already thought when I kind of heard her press conference. Um, she alluded to the fact that um, when you win, it's kind of expected and there's not a lot of joy in it. And when you lose, it's devastating and it's hard to kind of come back from. And the level of expectation that you have when you're a top player is been a little bit overwhelming for her. So to hear it kind of come out of her mouth in that same way, um, I wasn't surprised. You know, we were just talking about Jimmy. I mean, Jimmy Johnson is kind of like, it takes me like 20 minutes to celebrate a win. It takes me like 3 weeks to get over a loss. So it's like that's just kind of what kind of comes with the territory, but it's not for everyone. And I think that I don't want to say that she kind of came into this innocently, but I positive that she wasn't expecting all of the other things that kind of come with superstardom and beating the athlete of the decade and not quite possibly, the greatest women's tennis player of all time, and just kind of, the attention and notoriety that comes with that, and the responsibilities and the expectations. And I just think it's been a little bit much for her. So I think time off for her. I kind of saw it at the Olympics. I was surprised that she didn't get past the third round of the Olympics. So it was like, that's kind of weird. And then she's already won the U.S. Open. And I was telling my wife, is like, she won the U.S. Open last year when there was nobody there, right? Because she can just play tennis and just do what she does. But when all those other things, kind of come to the forefront, it's a little bit much for her. So I don't want to say pleasantly surprised, but I wasn't surprised at what she said, and it did kind of validate a lot of the thoughts that I kind of already had.
But so Cleveland, my question is and you kind of touched on it. isn't that situation is not going to leave. That isn't that the sign of isn't that being part of being a competitor? You don't focus on, you don't dwell on the wins. Like even in life, I mean, you write a good paper, you get the job done at work, you can complete a project at work, you complete the project, you get pat on the back, and now it's on to the next one. You don't get to dwell on how well that project went. You don't get to dwell on how good that paper was, how well you did on that assignment. You move on to the next one. Isn't that
Yeah,
isn't
right,
that how
exactly.
everything is?
And I think the problem for her is that the more success you have, the more people expect success. So, and then when you're not successful, then you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing. And so that had never kind of really been part of, her makeup. So it was just kind of try and get to the top and,
Clevon,
whatever
so
happens,
okay,
happens. But once you get there,
I
you have to
understand.
maintain.
I understand what you're saying. I do understand exactly what you're saying. However, and when you now you've done this, you played tennis. I don't know what level you said. I mean, you played tennis. I'll just leave it at that. But when you're trying to hit the, I knew I couldn't play tennis because I couldn't hit the ball. I couldn't return the ball and keep it inside the square, inside the field of play, if you will. Like I just wanted to hit the shit out of the ball. Like it took discipline, right, to hit the ball right, turn the racket at the right angle to make sure it falls within inside the field of play, right? So once you do that, you have to do that 10,000 times to kind of get that right, don't you?
So here's the thing. The
Well,
two
hold
things
on,
that
help me out, help me out. Don't you? You have to do that 10,000 times. Just let's just talk about the return. You have to hit that return 10,000 times just to get that rhythm correct. Correct? Am I right in saying that?
that's true. Muscle memory.
So you know what the results of hard work and continuous repetition is. You already know that. And so when you finally get it right, boom, now you get the return right. Now you become an expert returner. Now not only can you return it, you can return it to the left, you can return it to the right, you can hit it high, make it drop low so the opponent rushes up. Now you're perfecting this return. You don't go back and dwell on, well, it was just so simple when all I did is just have to return it once. You don't, your mind doesn't think,
No, see that's the
athletes
see don't do
an
that, Cam.
athlete's mind
Don't
doesn't
Cam,
work
don't
like
do
that.
that. Cam, don't do that, man.
What,
See, now you're kind of trying to trivialize it, like she's just a, like, man, you've been
no,
practicing so hard. Why can't you like? No, that's
no,
not
she's
that's
not
not what comes with. That's
the,
not
the
what
point
comes with all of this.
the point
And
of what I'm saying.
you're making it seem like no,
I'm this
that's not a
no
cool
what
perspective.
what I'm saying is she's been here in this situation before, where the six, and to use your own words, the win isn't as joyful as you want as it once was, and
Cam, they
the
threw a
losses
patch
are
on her
no.
shoulder and they gave her $20 million and they expect her to win every single match every single time she goes out there. That was never the level of expectation before. I don't care how many backhands you hit. I don't care how good you have gotten and perfected your game. That's not what's going on in her head, and you're making it seem like really like kind of corny, man. Like it's just like she's really good. She should just go out there and play really good. That part she can do. That's what I started with when she won the U.S. Open when there was nobody there. The media couldn't come and mess with her after the wins. There was no people in the stands. There wasn't 25,000 people watching her. It was a different kind of a thing. When she doesn't have those type of pressures, she can just play out. She can just hit out, play her game. When all those other factors come into the forefront, that's when she has her anxiety. That's when she has her issues. Now, we are older and we have not grown up in the social media era. So we don't know what those things are like. And I'm not defending her in the way that like she should really just, you should like put your arm around her and, just embrace what she's going through because, in my heart, I'm kind of the opposite. No, that's what champions do. That's part of being a champion. That's what separates champions from other people, because when they get to that level, they will not be able to sustain all those other things that come along with it.
Clevon.
So talent alone will not prevail.
Clevon,
And it's not that she's not talented. It's not that her talented hasn't taken her to another level. You're making it seem like she's been doing this and now she should just be doing it.
Clevon.
And that's not
Clevon. I'm not sure who coached you to play tennis. In fact, let's have that discussion.
My uncle coached me.
Your uncle coached you.
Yeah.
Like, was he just Clevon? That was great. That you returned the ball great. That was excellent.
No, he was the first African American to play at the University of Washington, and he's as competitive as anyone I've ever met in my life.
So he was. So again, so this is right to my point. So he wasn't Clevon. That was a great way to return the ball, Clevon. Let's work on your backhand.
Right. Perfection becomes the expectation.
Okay, so Clevon, there we go. There you go. I think you're coming along the same lines as where I'm going. Irregardless of social media, I don't think social media has any relevance to what the point I'm trying to make. Is when you have your own set of expectations. You have, obviously, she has a chef. She has a running. I watched a little episode on I think it was a Netflix episode where she has a physical trainer, which helped her with her conditioning, and then she has her tennis trainer, which helps her with the game. They weren't as dominating or domineering, I should say, as some of the coaches I played for when I played football, play sports. Perfection was the expectation. So for you to survive, and I'll just give this story. One day I'm 10, 11 years old, and I didn't feel like running laps today. I'm going to practice. I'm being lazy. What any 10 or 11, 12-year-old is going to be, I'm being lazy. My dad is my coach, and he tells me, if you don't hustle, you have to walk home. Well, I said, okay, I had it in my mind, what you really going to make me walk home? Okay, well, I'm not hustling just to see if you're really going to make me walk home. I didn't pick up a speed. Yeah, I had more in me. I just didn't feel like doing it that day. And so when practice was over, I knew what he told me, and I knew he was pretty much true to his word. And I knew what I did. I was like, when practice was over, he blew the whistle. I start walking home. I just start walking home. I didn't even go say goodbye. I'm leaving. I just start walking home because that I knew I wasn't hustling. I knew I wasn't working. I wasn't giving it my all, if you will. I just started walking home. So I say that to say that level of she knows what that is. She knows when she hits the right backhand is. She knows what a win is versus a loss. Irregardless of what, I can't speak to the talking to the media and how that may impact her. I mean, I can't speak to that. And if that's really what's breaking her down, is she doesn't want to communicate with people after the sport is over, after she wins or loses, that's something I can't speak to. And if that, I'm wondering, but how, after dealing with what you've dealt with to get to this level, how that becomes a problem. That doesn't compute with me. Do you follow what I'm saying?
Lots of people do not handle superstardom well. Her problem is that it is so public, and that she has been so reclusive with regards to kind of how she handles the media and people and that kind of stuff. And it is her personality. I mean, I don't condone it necessarily. I don't think that it's the best thing. But at the same time, you have to accept what it is. I mean, it's 2021. We're seeing a lot of different things from a lot of different people, and
I just don't understand it.
Simone Biles didn't get out there and start doing a bunch of flips. I mean, people are starting to kind of listen to their own selves and where they're at, and they're not necessarily beholden to what people want them to do or be, and the pressures are getting to them.
But she had to have some kind of inner desire to be the best of the best of the best, right? You don't do that just because you become a robot and you do what my mom tells me to do. You do what your coach tells you do.
She's
You
a
do what
four-time
you do.
Grand Slam champion, Cam.
So
I mean,
you
let's
have
not
to
make
have
it
some.
seem like she's just some player.
No, this is what to my point. She has to want to be that good. She can't just do it just because they say, okay, you got a sweet backhand or you can really hit the ball hard. You have to want to be that good, to put in those work, to put in the hours, to put in that work to get that good. She has to want to achieve all of that, right?
And she absolutely does. She just doesn't want all of the other things that come along with that. That's the problem. When you're the number one player in the world, when you beat the greatest women's player of all time, the athlete of the decade, a whole bunch comes with that. And she didn't want all the rest of that stuff that comes with it. That's the problem that she's struggling with. It's not her game. It's not what happens on the court. It's all the stuff that happens outside of the lines. It's not taking away her competitive spirit. If you would have watched her last match at the U.S. Open last year, she lost the first set. I was like, man, Naomi's about to unravel again. Emotional head case, blah, blah, blah. No, man. Pulled it together, won those last two sets. I was not expecting that of her. Could she have done that in 2021 with a full stadium and knowing what happens, whether she wins or loses, what's going to face her after the match? Probably not.
Man, I don't. I'm just saying.
You just think she's mentally and emotionally fragile, and there's something to that. And you don't think that great talented players should have that luxury of being emotionally
it's not the luxury, Clevon. It's not that luxury. I don't think it's not. I'm not saying I don't think she should have that luxury. I'm saying that like that should be built in because she's already
to a certain extent.
She already endured. She's already endured to get to that level, to get to her level where she's at. She's endured some of the worst things that she could possibly endure.
These aren't football players, man. These are not football players, man. These are not like comeback, all that negative fuel that makes you such a raging,
Clevon,
middle linebacker that wants to kill everybody. That's not who she is.
To be so precise, to be able to hit this ball at such an angle, such a speed where it drops at somebody's feet or bounces twice before it goes up, that takes precision. That takes preciseness. That takes a lot
practice and talent.
That takes hard work. All right, you don't get that. You don't roll out of bed and get to this level. What I'm saying, you don't roll out of bed and not understand the work and the practice that it takes to get to this level where she's at. And then everything else, there shouldn't be anything anybody could say to her. I would think that there shouldn't be anything anybody to bring her down. Like she's put in the work.
But Cam, that's your personality. That's your mentality. That's you putting yourself in her situation, not understanding how she is in that situation.
Fair enough. And maybe that's a conversation I need to have with her. Like, listen, you've already put in all of this work. Nope. Not one of those reporters have put in the type of work that you have put in the work on your craft. I don't think they did that on their craft. Not most of them. I would say most of, if there are 50 reporters, 48 of them haven't put in that same type of work that you put into your craft. So damn what they say. Damn the praise that you have.
And that is awesome that you have that type of mental strength and mindset with regard to that. Maybe she does not. As far as her actual talent and what she's able to do and how she's able to transform that on the tennis court, that's a different thing.
Yeah, that's interesting. That's interesting. So, and I'm just saying, so she vows to take a break from tennis, and like you're saying, people are now applauding everybody else for kind of recognizing kind of their pains and their inner challenges that they have. And if I heard somebody say if she needs a break, take a break. But these same situations are going to be there when she decides to return.
I mean, but here's the difference, Cam. You just have to accept it for what it is. Again, is that how you want your champion to be? That's not how I want my champion to be necessarily, but I have to accept that if that's what's going on with you, then that's what's going on with you. I don't think you're making it up. I don't think it's not real. I don't think you're less of a champion because that's what you're going through. I would prefer, greatness does not always come in the package that you want it, man.
Well,
And
I'm not
this is just
questioning.
an example of that.
I'm not questioning greatness at all. I mean, again, I applaud her for even getting to this level and having the wins and the successes that she has. My thing is just when she decides to, okay, I'm gonna take a break from tennis. I'm gonna take a she took some matches off earlier in the year, came back. When you decide to come back next year, like it's not really gonna change. It's gonna kind of increase because now everybody wants to know like what did you do when you was out? What kind of books did you read? Who did you talk to? How did you overcome the challenges
Yeah,
that you overcome?
the pressures of
Like
being
that's
one
gonna
of the top players in the world never goes away.
yeah, that's still
It's
gonna be
always
there.
going to be the same.
And in fact, that's going to be even twice, double time, twofold, because now people want to know kind of what went on during your break, during your downtime. So whether you win or lose, I mean, you've already won by being at the podium. You win or lose a match, we can come back and fight that again. As you already shown that you can lose a match and come back and be better the next time. You've already shown that. So again, just damn what they say. And then on the flip side, we have Lila Fernandez. You know, she advances to the semifinals. She's a couple years younger. So is it? And here's a kind of another question I want to ask is: women tennis players, they kind of the same with gymnasts. They kind of reach their peak or reach their prime at a young age, right? Is it the youth and I don't mean ignorance in a bad way, but the use and the ignorance of everything else surrounding what they're doing. Is that just a good thing that they're allowed just to go out there and play? You follow what I'm saying? The ignorance is not a proper term. I, I don't mean that in the way it sounds, but I think you understand what I'm saying. Is that youth and not understanding kind of the circumstances that just allow them to go play. The girl Fernandez, she's just playing. She's not worried about the more. At least I don't suspect she's worrying about her Nike endorsement or the Diadora endorsement or the endorsement she's going to get from the U.S. Open or uh, Benetton or whatever. She's just out there trying to play and try to have fun with it and do her best, and then end up kind of making it to the semifinals. You follow what I'm saying?
She's beaten two former U.S. Open champions on the way to the semifinals, which is extraordinary in and of itself. And that whole thing that you're saying will change dramatically if she wins the U.S. Open. And then
That's
and then
only
we'll,
that's
and then
only
we'll be
because
having a
more people
different
are talking to her.
conversation.
Well, we'll see what's happening. We'll see what's happening. Now, talk about your boy Sissipas, who's pissing off opponents when he goes and takes his 12-minute breaks during the match. What's your thoughts on that? Should they change that ruling a little bit?
No, the rule is the rule, and so far he's really the only player that's ever really been, kind of pulled to the carpet for abusing it. I've never really seen it to this level before. I mean, if somebody, goes to that, you're almost kind of like concerned for him, right? Like, man, this guy's just like, oh, this guy.
No,
get into came back, Like if Federer went off and was gone for 8 minutes, you'd be like, ooh, what happened? Is he all right? It'd be a whole different kind of a thing, but he just like, it's a loophole in the rule, and he just uses it to, the fullest extent of it.
Yeah, okay.
So I don't necessarily appreciate it, but I mean, it is what it is.
So no big deal to you, huh?
Not really.
College football, big takeaway from the weekend in college football, man. Bama pounded my Canes. Clemson struggled with Georgia. UCLA beats LSU. Notre Dame squeaks by FSU. What's your biggest takeaway from the weekend?
I just think that
hold on, wait, back up. Montana got $750,000 to put that beat down on the Huskies. What's your biggest takeaway from the weekend?
My biggest takeaway from the weekend is that it was a little bit more of a transition for the college players. Some of them that didn't play a whole lot last year. The SEC is the only conference that said we're just going to play, no matter what, who lives or dies, whatever.
Wait.
No, And so
wait,
my biggest takeaway was that it was a little bit more of a transition for players to get back to playing in front of full fans and playing,
No, I'm
at
not
that
letting you
level.
do this. I'm not letting you do this. You're telling me the Huskies forgot how to play football and let Montana come in there and roll in there and just smack them
They
around?
didn't forget how to play football. It was a different environment that they were playing in. You've always spoke about, how easy it was to win a championship in the bubble. It's like, that kind of a thing. Now all of a sudden you're playing in front of real fans and, your family and all of that. And it's a different, environment. So it's been a little bit of a transition, a little bit longer of a transition than probably people anticipated. I mean, Clemson only scored 3 points, man. That's kind of weird, right?
I mean, they played a stifling defense.
Oh,
They played
is that what it was? 3 points? I said a field goal, man. Come on now. It's a college football.
They played a stifling. Hey, Georgia was stifling them. That says more about that quarterback that they had. Is he that good, or were they just hyping him up? Tualele or whatever his name is. That was stifling defense that he played, man.
Couple more wins, you'll get his name right. Just like Tua Tagovailoa, you'll get his name right.
So I want to go back to this Washington Husky thing that you're just trying to gloss over and just say it. They didn't understand the environment that they were going into, and that's Montana.
No, the Huskies played at home. Montana played them really, really, really tough, and they didn't come out ready to play. Hopefully, Jimmy Lake has them ready to play at Michigan. I'm actually going to the game in the Big House, so I hope to see some better results.
When that's this weekend?
Saturday.
Wow, yeah, that's gonna be a sad trip home if they show up with that same effort.
Very true.
That's gonna be a sad trip home. Albert Pujols was honored in St. Louis. They gave him after he hit his home run, they gave him a standing ovation before he hit the home run. After they hit the home run, they kind of. What's your thoughts on Albert Pujols, man? Tell me what you, Mr. Baseball, what you think of Albert Pujols.
I think that he wishes that St. Louis was a bigger market and had more money to give him when he left and went to the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim. I don't think he ever really wanted to leave, but I mean, you just can't turn down $250 million, so you got to go. But it's a love affair. St. Louis will always love him. He will always love St. Louis. Other than Stan Musial, he's probably their next most favorite player.
Do you recall Nelson Cruz played for the Texas Rangers?
Yeah.
And in the World Series, like he showed an extreme lack of effort to close the World Series game out. I forget who they were playing, but I think it might have been
the Giants.
Extra innings, and a fly ball came his direction, and he gave a lackluster effort and didn't kind of go. It looked like he didn't hustle to catch this fly ball. That if he catches it, it would have ended the World Series. World Series would have been over and Texas wins. However, the ball hits the ground, and the Giants, they scored a couple runs there. They ended up taking the lead in extra innings. Although Texas came back in that same game. I mean, it was a kind of bounce back game. But had he caught the ball, do you remember this play I'm talking about?
I don't remember the exact play, but I mean, Nelson Cruz, I don't know where you're going with this, but it's certainly matured since then. And, I'm still a little bit hurt that the Seattle Mariners are, he's not so one of us. I mean, all he does is put up 40 home runs, man, real quietly. You just can't throw him anything over the plate. And that's like when Tampa Bay went and got him, I was like, wow, that's savvy right there.
No,
you don't want him to do anything but what he does. Be good in the locker room. He's not gonna, you know what I'm saying? He's not gonna run out a bunch of ground balls. He's not gonna, no.
Well, that was that effort
40 times.
That lack of effort of running out of ground balls, kind of what I'm talking about. If he was playing right field, it was a pop fly. It was kind of between right and center field. He was closest to it. He just kind of lazily ran out there and waved at the ball. It hit the ground. And and who I don't remember exactly who it was. I remember when he played with the Rangers. I was so disappointed. I don't watch a lot of World Series ball, but when I saw that, I was so disappointed in that lack of effort that he showed, and I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe he was out there, and I couldn't believe somebody else would re-sign him after that piss poor effort that he displayed that game, and it cost him a World Series. That cost him. I don't think he's ever won a World Series. That play cost him a World Series. If he catches the ball, it's over. So he should have been running and diving out for the ball just to kind of catch it. And no, he didn't. Nuh-uh. he didn't do that. And you explained it perfectly when you said he doesn't run out of ground balls. That was the exact play. That's the best example I can give. Is he didn't leg out the ball and hustle to the ball that hit the ground. That's where I was going. I was just wondering if you remember that play, but yeah, he's approaching. He got 450 home runs now, so he's approaching that magical number of 500 homers which used to be, a ticket to the Hall of Fame, right? That used to be
ticket to Cooperstown.
Yeah, that used to be the ticket, but I don't know if it's no more. But we'll see if he ever gets there. Clevon, before we close out the show, man, and before we get to our Shohei Ohtani segment. Which coach? Let's go back to the NFL predictions. Which coach is under the most pressure this season? I got a few coaches that I believe is under the most pressure. See if you agree with me. Number one being Matt LaFleur, coach of the Green Bay Packers. Although they've been to 2 NFC championships, they haven't got over the hurdle quite yet. Brian Flores down in South Florida, they still haven't made the playoffs. And then Pete Carroll up in Seattle. I mean, Pete Carroll won a championship almost 10 years ago. How long does he get to kind of skate free up in Seattle? And
did you say Pete Carroll?
Pete Carroll, Seattle Seahawks head coach. Yeah.
Yeah. No pressure there.
No, they just let him keep skating, huh?
Yep.
Yeah, that's typical. He won. He brought a championship. He can't do no wrong. Is that it?
No, I mean it's just leadership, ownership. He's not going anywhere.
What leadership has he done in 10 years? They haven't won a championship in 10 years, nearly 10 years.
They were 12-4 last year.
Is that a championship?
No.
Oh, that's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about winning something. Putting up a banner somewhere.
Oh no.
That's not important.
Like in Miami. Like in Miami.
That's why Flores is on. That's what Flores. I have Flores right there on more pressure. I said him before Pete Carroll. Flores, yes, you have to win something. You've been there. You claim you changing the chemistry around. You claim you changing the attitude around. You claim you putting us on the right track. However, we have Pro Bowlers or players that left the team and become Pro Bowlers elsewhere. You don't name the defensive player of the year, team captain. You can't decide who your quarterback should be. I mean, yeah, you're on a hot seat, buddy. So that was the coach. What team has the most pressure on them? I have the Browns, the Cowboys, and the Seahawks. Do you agree with that or not agree with that?
The most pressure on them. I kind of think Tennessee has the most pressure on them. It's about time for them to turn the corner, don't you think? And kind of get there to the Super Bowl?
I mean, I would say so. I would say yes, but I understand who their quarterback is, and people like you and who don't quite understand who the potential or lack of potential that Ryan Tannehill is. I mean, you guys see it a little differently. I mean, Henry. So one of the things. So you want to bag on me because I didn't pick Henry in the fantasy football draft. But Henry, how long can he have the same success? Typical running back has 3 or 4 good years, right? Can he have another? I might not have picked him had I had all the time in the world to pick because I'm thinking sooner or later they're going to key on the running game, understanding who their quarterback is, key on the running game, and let this guy beat you if he can beat you. He's had a terrific stats over the last couple of years. Can that produce wins in the playoffs? That I don't know. So I mean, there could be some pressure on them, but more pressure than the Cleveland Browns and your boy Baker Mayfield.
For sure, man. There's really no pressure on him. They would like to see him win, but it's kind of an unrealistic expectation.
Tannehill was a high draft pick. He was a top 10 draft pick. He wasn't the number one. He wasn't a Heisman Trophy winner. He didn't come in the league with 13 what is it, insurance commercials. What was it, Geico Insurance or whatever insurance? Progressive insurance that he's doing every week. I think there's been a lot more placed on Baker's feet than on Tannehill's feet. I thought a lot more pressure was on Baker Mayfield. And then Baker Mayfield, they're not far apart. They're not far apart when you say Tannehill and Baker. I just think because of the way Baker came in, more pressure's on Baker than Ryan. You know,
I would agree with that. I think
Ryan's on the second team. Ryan's on the second team, so obviously he kind of flamed out one spot. Now he's just kind of rebuilt himself. So I understand what you're saying, but I think more pressure would be on the Browns and Baker Mayfield than Ryan Tannehill and the Titans.
I personally think that the coach that has the most pressure is John Gruden. I think those guys have to kind of make the playoffs this year. You know, they're in Vegas again. You know, second time. You know, last year they couldn't really floss out like they may have wanted to, but this year, yeah, that stadium's extraordinary. They pay him $10 million a year. They want to see results. And Chucky's just not that guy. But
you don't think so? The reason. So that's interesting that came up. That came up in our conversation during the fantasy draft as well. I've heard some chatter about this throughout this preseason. You know, he hasn't even completed half of his 10-year contracts. So that's interesting to me, and I don't see that owner is the owner. He's not his father who would say, "Okay, Chucky, you're done. We're done here. We're going a different direction." He could say that. I don't see him saying that. That's why I don't think there's a lot of pressure on Gruden. I understand what you're from the standpoint you're saying, like he should be winning by now, but I just don't see his son coming to the table and saying, "Okay, you're done." I don't see that. But you're right. There could be. I mean, they should be winning. Yes, they should be winning. I expected them to make the playoffs last year. I don't have that same expectation this season.
And so, of course, you know, we also know that, you know, Zimmer up in Minnesota. I mean, you know, he's pretty much, you know, tick tock.
Zimmer. I mean, they
can't go 6-11 this year and keep the job.
So I think they handcuffed Zimmer, to be honest with you. When you pay Kirk Cousins all that money, I think you handcuffed him because Kirk Cousins has a ceiling. And so now you say you're supposed to win with this guy? Well, we know this guy is average. You know, Kirk Cousins got drafted in the league. He was a backup quarterback. In fact, when he played with Le'Veon Bell at Michigan State, like the question was, how good could he be? That was my question when I watched Le'Veon get the ball, run the ball 40 times, and Kirk Cousins throw the ball 15 times in a game. How good can this kid be? And it turns out he's like an okay quarterback. He was an okay quarterback at Michigan State. He was drafted to be a backup quarterback to RG3. RG3 goes down. Now this kid gets thrust in the game and plays okay. He plays just well enough to say, "Hey, man, this kid's not bad." And then clearly he's smart enough to go and negotiate a contract. So Zimmer, I'm not sure Zimmer identified him as the guy. I'm not sure Zimmer gave him this $84 million guaranteed. But until he's out of there, I can't blame Zimmer for this. I can't blame Zimmer for what's going on. Like Kirk Cousins has been an albatross around the Vikings' neck here the last couple of years. Until he's able to win a primetime game, I can't blame the coach for that. Unless I don't recall how that happened. I don't recall Zimmer handpicking him to saying that's the quarterback I want. Like what's your guy in Arizona? the head coach in Arizona, say
Kingsbury.
Kyler, he said, I need Kyler Murray to run my offense. So where I want to say he's under some pressure, Kingsbury, but I think it's still kind of soon. This is Kyler's third year going into the league. I think it's kind of still too soon, and they're playing in a tough division. To say Kingsbury is under pressure is saying that you should beat the Seattle Seahawks, the Los Angeles Rams, the San Francisco 49ers, all of which have been in the Super Bowl this decade. To think we're better than that team, either one of those teams, is delusional. So that's the only reason I can't say that they're Kingsbury's under pressure. You follow what I'm saying? That's gotcha. You're thinking way too much of yourself if you think the Arizona Cardinals was better than any one of those three teams, and where they have good pieces, and it may go to you may question my next statement is the player that's most underrated is going into the season. I think Kyler Murray is underrated, but I still think they're playing in one of the best divisions of football, and to think that they're going to be better than either one of those three teams above them is just you're not thinking correctly. And what do you think about that?
Yeah, the NFC West is a very unforgiving, and you do have to play everyone twice. And Kyler Murray is a shortstop playing quarterback, so it's kind of a tough thing to do.
I mean, Kyler, I think he's underrated because I think he got some skills. And is this? I don't think they have. They want to run 4 wide receiver offense, like this run and gun, run and shoot offense. I don't think they have the talent to do so. Part of coaching is identifying what you have and kind of molding your scheme to the talent that they have. I don't think they have the talent to do that. However, if they play perfect ball, I still don't think they're as good as either of the three teams ahead of them in that division. So it's kind of hard for me to turn the screws on.
So you had the Cardinals coming in last place in the NFC West then?
Yeah. Yes. They're not as good as either one of those guys. I mean, there's no way they're as good as the Rams, 49ers, or the Seahawks. Come on. I mean,
you want to write that down for the ticker?
What do you have the Cardinals?
The Cardinals will be in last place.
What do you have the Cardinals finishing?
Not sure. I don't know about last place. Sounds like kind of a very arbitrary decision to kind of make.
Who are the Cardinals better than in that division?
I don't know. Are they better than the 49ers? 49ers got the number 2 pick in the draft last year, right?
Okay, come on. 49ers dealt with injuries and had a playoff Super Bowl.
Okay, well, injuries are part of football.
They were on a Super Bowl hangover. You familiar with that?
We don't know what's going to happen out there.
Oh, you're just hating right there. You're just hating right there.
I'm not hating. I'm just saying. To put the Arizona Cardinals in the last, for example, if you said the New York Jets going to finish last in the AFC East, okay, yeah, that makes sense. But you're just saying the Cardinals are going to finish last. That's wow.
Tell me who the Cardinals are better than. Tell me who the Cardinals are better than.
We don't know yet.
Exactly. So, please don't stop it. You should.
They didn't finish last in the division last year.
Who did they finish ahead of? Oh, San Francisco.
San Francisco 49ers.
Again, San Francisco was on a Super Bowl hangover. They faced some injuries. Bosa went down. The quarterback went down. Come on, that's not a fair viewing acknowledgement of what those Niners teams were.
What happens if Aaron Donald and
come on, stop. What happens?
Matt Stafford goes down.
They haven't gone down. That's
right. We have 17 games to determine it. I mean, I don't think they're god awful. I think they're competitive, and we don't know where they're going to end up.
So
I don't think they're going to win the division, but I'm not going to say they're going to be the worst team in the division.
You want to put something down that they're not the worst team in the division? Are you trying to put something on this?
Yeah, I'll put something on it.
For it to go on the ticker, you have to put something on it.
I'll put something on it.
Well, what are we putting on it?
What's your pleasure, my friend? Once give me a fifth. Once give me a fifth of Hand Rock.
No. Is there a Fogo de Chao? Is there a Fogo de Chao up there?
A what?
Fogo de Chao restaurant. Fogo de Chao, Brazilian.
No.
Brazilian. No, down in Lake Union. In Lake Union, right next to Daniel's, there's a Brazilian restaurant. What's the name of the restaurant there? Right? There's Joey's.
It's not ringing the bell, man.
I'm telling you, down in Lake Union, there's a restaurant down there. There's a restaurant right next to what you call it, right next to Daniel's. Give me a second, I'll figure that out for you. That's what I want. I want dinner, okay. Brazilian restaurant in Seattle.
If the Cardinals are in last place, it will be on me. But if they don't finish in last place, it'll be on you. Is that what we're going with?
Yeah, if the Cardinals are not in last place in that division, right?
Okay, done deal.
Let me see. Let me find out. You haven't had that food down there? Lake Union, man.
I've had empanadas on First in Pike Place Market. That was amazing. Wow.
No, right on. It's right next.
But you can do your research later, my friend. I mean, we'll come up with the place to go. That's not heavy. We got the wager in. So.
All right, hold on. Hold on. I gotta let me edit this. Arizona Cardinals will be in last.
We'll finish last in the NFC West in 2021.
NFC West. For Brazilian dinner. All right, man. I can't believe you're arguing this right now. I can't believe you're arguing that.
It's football, Cam. You just never know.
I mean, like you're acting like you're acting like you're acting like these guys are world beaters, bro.
No, I'm just acting like they might not be the worst team in the division. That's all I'm acting like. I'm not 100% certain that they're not going to win 9 games.
Well, there you go, right there. Okay, there you go, right there. So who do you have as the most underrated player going into the season? Well, so I have, before you go there, which player has the most pressure on them? We talked about Baker Mayfield, Matt Stafford. Like they need to win a Super Bowl for that trade to be validated. They need to win a Super Bowl. If they don't win a Super Bowl, that was a bad trade, right?
Most definitely, I think Matt Stafford, top 3. I can't really think of anyone that has more pressure on them to succeed.
There's one guy. There's another guy. And I'm not going to let you get away without agreeing to this. Tua Tagovailoa has a ton of pressure on him. I mean, the coach tried to bench him halfway through the season last year. So
Tua's only played 4 games, only in the second year. I mean, you got to give him time to maturate and kind of go through the process. So no pressure on him. Not in the same respect that Matt Stafford, that's played 15 years in this league, and throwing for 5,000 yards before. That's a little bit different kind of pressure.
Well, you gotta get to.
I would
You
say
got
Carson Wentz has more pressure on him than Tua Tagovailoa.
Carson Wentz.
Yeah, you traded to get
That
him.
could. I mean, I could see that. I could see that. But I mean, he he his ankles have more pressure on him than than anything else.
Oh, plus he is playing in that Colts jersey, so you know how that goes.
Yeah. Carson Wentz. That's funny. That's a. I see what you did there.
You see what I did there?
I see what you did there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's funny. Nah. Uh, what do we expect from Carson Wentz? I mean,
Those guys are expecting 4,000 yards in a playoff appearance and quite possibly a Super Bowl run. They got a great defense. They got a great running game. They got Pittman Jr. They feel like this could be their time.
All right, Clevon. So what did we say? Do we say they make the playoffs? Did you in our pick segment? Did we agree that they make the playoffs? I don't think so.
The AFC is pretty challenging, so I don't recall specifically if I said that, but we can definitely pull that tape up.
Yeah, I don't think so. So that leads me to believe that there's not a lot of pressure in there because we didn't. You and I did.
Oh no, this is a tremendous amount of pressure on Carson Wentz for sure. It's a tremendous amount of pressure on Derek Carr to try and fight off, Aaron Rodgers coming to town next year.
You did have them in the playoffs. You had them in the playoffs. You
okay.
Did. So you had them in the playoffs last season. There's a tremendous lot of pressure on who?
Derek Carr.
More pressure than John Gruden?
Yeah, because they would keep John Gruden over Derek Carr. They might get thrown out with the bathwater, so we're not sure. 6-11, 7-10. In Vegas, they don't really. Yeah.
The talk for the last couple of years is that they're trying to get Gruden wanted a different quarterback than Derek Carr. It's like Carr's been playing just well enough.
He's had plenty of opportunity to get one and hasn't done so.
Because Carr's been playing well enough to say, okay, maybe we can work with this guy.
Okay.
So I'll put Derek Carr on here. I'm not sure I agree with that, but that's been a talk. So which player is the most underrated going into this season? I have Kyler Murray, and then secondly, I have Mac Jones. We talked about Mac. We see how you feel about that. We already got something on that. Who do you feel has been underrated going into the season?
Well, there is this rookie running back from Pittsburgh, Najee Harris. I feel like he can really break out and have a breakout season this year.
Ain't that nothing? He's not underrated. I
feel like he's a little bit underrated. I know that people have been kind of talking about him a little bit with a little favor, but I think he can be even better than that. Than people are really trying to give him credit for. I think he's a little underrated.
You say that because he made your fantasy football team, and I don't think you would have picked him if I didn't tell you how good he was actually going to be.
Oh, Cam, I have my own intel. I don't need yours.
Yeah, right. That's the reason you called my name when you picked the guy.
I knew it was gonna break your heart. I just thought it was hilarious.
I don't think he's underrated though. I don't think he's underrated. I think Brian Flores clearly doesn't rank him. Clearly, that's the case. But I don't think he's underrated. But nice try there. So who else might you have that deserve to be on the list?
Underrated, under the radar. Let's see here.
CeeDee Lamb, Jerry Jeudy. What do you think of Jerry Jeudy? You picked up your fantasy quarterback, Teddy Bridgewater. Is he going to get this? Is he going to be respectable in Denver? Or are they
for sure.
Are they
going to be looking for underrated? I mean, you can get Teddy Bridgewater in the 12th, 13th round. That's embarrassing. That guy's going to throw for 3,500, 4,000 yards.
You think
that offense is pretty good? It's got Cortland Sutton and Noah Fant and
Jerry Jeudy.
Judy throw too, and I believe you drafted his backup running back in the fantasy draft. So, was the quarterback's best friend, Cam?
A good running game.
Well, okay. Well, they got two good running backs, and I mean they're not great, but he's steady. He's got a steady hand, and he's not going to make mistakes out there. He's been around the block a few times.
But I'll be interested to see what kind of season he has this season. I think he's been overrated. I'll put that. I'll add Teddy, because he's been overlooked a lot of places. After that injury in Minnesota, devastating injury, like
2-year injury. Yeah,
2-year injury. He went to the Saints. Like, I thought the Saints should have kept him for real. Like, they decided to go out.
I think he would be their starting quarterback if they did, right?
Yeah, we already knew Breeze had a season or two in him, and I thought they should have kept him, but they decided to go get Jameis. So we'll see how is Jameis underrated or overrated.
He's overrated. Now that we're talking about it, Sam Darnold. We'll see what Sam can do and what's a quarterback's best friend, Cam?
A good running game. Now you want to put the weight on C-Mac.
And who's the strongest running game?
Now you want to put the onus on C-Mac.
I'm just saying. I think now that play action works a little different. When Christian Jackson McCaffrey's back there.
Who are their receivers though? They got CJ Moore. Who else they got?
Robbie Anderson's over there. You can throw to Robbie.
I mean, he was with Robbie in New York. Like they didn't connect in New York.
Okay, well, this is a different environment for both of them. You asked me who was underrated.
Sam Darnold. You got Sam Darnold being underrated.
No, underrated. Look at you poo-pooing on him, spitting on his face.
He ain't did shit to be rated.
Okay, so he's underrated. So if he takes that team to the playoffs, okay.
Goodness. They're not going. Now you're telling me you want to put that on ticker? Arizona Cardinals going to the playoffs?
If he takes that team to the playoffs.
Yeah,
that's all I said.
Come on, they're not going to the damn playoffs. You know that. Come on, cut it out.
Underrated. You asked for some underrated players. I'm trying to give you some gems here, man. It's underrated.
Okay, all right. I'm mad nose. Who do you have as? You're gonna laugh when I tell you this. It's nothing new that you hadn't heard before. Overrated. Ryan Tannehill. First person I put down.
Sure.
Next person is Odell Beckham Jr.
Ooh.
Overrated. Do you agree or disagree?
I think that he is not in the right environment, and he needs to be in the right environment. It's kind of like a lizard needs the right habitat to really sustain, and I don't think Cleveland's it. So kind of overrated. He certainly in the right circumstances he would be phenomenal, but this is not.
In what circumstances? You want him in Seattle? Do you want Odell Beckham in Seattle?
We have receivers. We're good. Thanks.
That's not the question. Do you want Odell Beckham in Seattle?
No, we do not.
Exactly. There's a reason. Why don't you want Odell Beckham in Seattle?
Because we already have receivers.
How is you need a third guy? You can't tell me that you expect the guy 5'5", 160 pounds to be.
Eskridge's gonna be just fine. Thanks for asking.
Who?
Eskridge. He's gonna be okay.
So you still running Tyler Lockett out there, 5'9", 180, as your number 2 receiver.
100 catches last year, Pro Bowler.
Yeah, but that was in the slot, man. This is what you don't. You're not understanding.
Okay, man. I don't know when you put your offensive coordinator cap on, but we'll be okay. We don't need you calling plays and putting people in the right spots, and yeah.
So there's a reason
you be overcoaching them anyway. You like to coach too much.
There's a reason you don't want Odell on your squad. Well, tell me where Odell would fit. Tell me where. Back in New York with the Giants or with the Jets? Tell me where Odell would fit. Will he fit in with the Rams?
Odell would be fantastic in Kansas City. Odell would be fantastic in Green Bay.
Green Bay would be a good spot for him.
Yeah, there's good spots for a receiver that dynamic.
I mean, Green Bay is Green Bay a bigger market than Cleveland? Why is
no, but Aaron is playing there. I'm sorry, he would be better for. Oh, well, no, they're bringing Devontae with him. So when he goes to Vegas, so I was about to say bring ODB too, but you don't need two diva receivers. You really just need one. So that's probably not the best place for him.
The Raiders.
Yeah.
Who's their diva receiver?
Well, when Aaron Rodgers comes, he's bringing Devontae Adams with him. So
gracious. Man, Odell is overrated. If I was Cleveland, man, I'd be shopping him. What can I get? I'd be taking the best offer I could get for him right now. I seriously would, because he's not in that offense. Jarvis Landry. I've always thought Jarvis Landry was better anyway, but Jarvis Landry is more productive than he is. They're supposed to be working together, but he doesn't make, if he's not making a big play, he's not doing you no services. So who do you have as overrated? What players do you have as overrated?
As we go down the overrated list, Cam.
Chris Carson?
Leaning a little bit towards Michael Thomas. I thought he was a little overrated, and now he's not even healthy. And 2 years ago, he was supposed to be the best receiver in football. A little overrated.
I mean, when he's on the field, he's good, but he hasn't been on the field.
When's that?
I mean, he hasn't been on the field. He was hurt. For whatever reason, he lost contact with Drew Brees. I don't think he went to one of Drew Brees' kids' birthday parties last season or last off season. So coming into the season, I mean, him and Drew weren't on the same page, and it showed. Whatever happened, whatever bar mitzvah he missed, or whatever the deal was, he didn't sign somebody's jersey.
You know who's overrated?
He was off.
You know who's overrated? Shaquille Griffin.
Oh.
Dude's overrated.
Ain't this nothing? You want me to write this down too?
Oh, Shaquille Griffin overrated? Yeah, write that down.
Oh my goodness, because he got $14 million from Jacksonville.
Well, I mean, they paid him with the top 4 or 5 cornerbacks in the league. Is he that?
That is not, but they needed a guy. So
well, then he's overrated. Then.
Oh, listen to this guy. Listen to that. Listen.
I think he's making more than Xavier Howard. Is that I recall?
He is making more than Xavier.
Well, then
Xavier had a fight for 10.
Think he's better?
He had a fight for 10.
Do you think he's better?
No.
Well, then there you go.
Not at all.
A little overrated then.
Wow. That's sour beans. That's sour grapes right there. That's what that is. I think that's sour grapes right there. Who else you got? Anybody else?
On my overrated list, kind of think Amari Cooper's a little overrated, man.
Oh, stop it. Stop it.
I think he's one of the top 5 paid receivers in this league, and that's little. I don't think he's that. I think I can name 5 receivers better than Amari Cooper, and I don't think I can name 5 receivers that make more money than him. So, if dollars and cents is any type of measurement of who's overrated or not, then
I didn't say the question wasn't who's overpaid. Who's overrated? Amari Cooper, I'll have you know, is not. He's in the top. He's in the top 10 receivers. Is he top 5? You go AJ Brown, Devontae, D Hopkins. Who else are we missing? We don't want to say.
Oh, I didn't hear you say Tyreek Hill's name.
Tyreek Hill. There we go. So there's 5. Who else we missing? We don't want to miss. Is he better than DK? He's probably not better than DK. So there's 6. Um,
Is he better than Allen Robinson?
Jerry Judy, yeah, he's better than Allen Robinson. Is he better than Jerry Judy? Is he better than CeeDee Lamb? Probably not better than CeeDee Lamb. Is he better than Claypool, Juju, Yes and Yes? Is he better than Jefferson?
Better than Score McLaurin over with the Washington football team? Is he better than Mike Evans down in Tampa Bay?
Mike Evans. Now, Mike Evans is, as much as I've been riding Mike Evans since he left Texas Tech, he's kind of to the point where he's overrated.
Super Bowl champion? Where are you getting this?
Come on, man.
Where are you getting this from?
Look at his numbers, man. His numbers has regressed for the last 3 years. His numbers have been regressing. Not saying that he's not a good player. Don't get me wrong. His numbers is just regressing. That's what I'm saying. So yeah, he's a top 10 receiver.
I didn't. You know what, Cam? I didn't hear you clamoring about that guy up in Buffalo that you like so much.
Stephon Diggs. Ooh, man, that top 10 is a tough. That's a tough list to crack.
Tough one to crack.
That's a tough list to crack.
And he hasn't done it yet, has he? Because we just keep coming up with names, don't we? Is he better than those guys up in Minnesota, Justin Jefferson or Adam Thielen?
I think he's better than I said Jefferson.
I mean, is he better than your guy Keenan Allen?
Oof. We're gonna have to see. We're gonna have to keep a keen eye on.
Yeah, you see how this list just keeps growing and growing like a forest blaze.
We're gonna have to keep a keen eye on Amari.
Yeah, there's receivers out there, man.
So you're just looking at the price tag. I added him to the list, but I still think he's I still think he's among the league's top 10. But yeah, we just named off 12 players right there.
We weren't really even trying.
We just named off 12. NFL Coach of the Year this season.
NFL Coach of the Year this season will be Sean McDermott.
From Buffalo? So you got them repeating. You got them going back to the playoffs, Buffalo.
Yes, they will dominate their division.
Dominate, he says.
6-0, 7-0. I don't know how the schedule works out, but yeah.
We play everybody twice. So not Reed and KC. No,
that window's quietly closing. I know, you ever remember those screen doors back in the day? They used to like close kind of quietly, and then they would finally like shh, and it's kind of click into place. You know what I'm talking about? That's the Kansas City Chiefs, man.
So what does that mean? They're not going to be any good? Is that what you're telling me?
No, they will still be very good. They will still be formidable. They might even get to the AFC Championship, man.
But their windows is about done. Wow, you're tough. You're a tough cookie. They've been in the Super Bowl 2 of the last 3 years.
They've been to the Super Bowl back-to-back years.
So, and you got them, the window closing on them. Wow, you went right to Sean McDermott. What about not the ball coach? What are we calling him? Coach of the Buccaneers. Can they repeat? Can they repeat?
Absolutely, they can repeat. He won't be coach of the year, but yeah, they certainly have the talent to repeat.
If they repeat, he doesn't get coach of the year.
Yep.
So you don't even have. You was talking crap about them, or you was trying to throw them in the mix. Your Carolina Panthers. No, excuse me. Let me take that back. I'm sorry.
They're not my Carolina Panthers, but I think they'll be better than people think.
Let me take that back. Ron Rivera. I was thinking Ron Rivera. He's now in Washington with the Washington football team. Yeah. How good can they be? Can he?
They're not going to win. They're pretty good, but they'll look better because they play in a very weak division, and they'll get like 4 of those 6 games, and that'll kind of anchor their season. But nah, not coach of the year.
What about Harbaugh in Baltimore?
They'll make the playoffs. They may get to second round, but no.
And who coaches in Cleveland? What's my guy's name? Stefanski?
Yeah.
If he gets Baker Mayfield.
Wasn't he coach of the year last year?
Was he? I don't think so. Was he?
If not, he was very close. I believe he was.
He was in the conversation. That's what I'm saying. If they get Baker Mayfield pointing in the right direction and they get something out of your boy Odell, could he win coach of the year? Get that defense around it?
He could. The defense is going to be just fine.
I don't know.
It'll probably be quite a bit better than just fine. But
McDermott, that's an interesting call. What about MVP?
Oh, Ron. He's going back to back.
He's going back to back.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's cool. MVP. Who I think he's going to be MVP? I could see that. But I could see Patrick Mahomes being MVP again.
Sure. Big numbers.
Yeah, but he's going to be putting up big numbers. I got the Chargers going to the playoffs, man. I could see everything hinging on Justin Herbert. I don't know if that's MVP status, but I could see everybody. I could see a lot of stuff hinging on him because for them to be good, he's going to have to be great. They're going to have another porous O-line. I don't know that they're going to be able to run the ball greatly, but for them to be good, he's going to have to be great. Washington football team, Seahawks. I don't know. Russell, it depends on Russell. Russell has an opportunity, man.
Russell in the mix. He's in the conversation.
Opportunity, yeah, because again, for them to be good, I have them coming up not last in that division. Excuse me. I have them being the 3rd playoff team in the NFC West. I'm looking at my playoff list. I have them last in the playoff, get into the last in the playoff. That's why I said that. But I have them the 3rd team of the 3rd playoff team of that tough division. But can Russell? Will they let Russ cook? That's a big question. Will they let him cook all season long? If they let him cook all season long and don't try to pound the ball to Chris Carson for
851 yards.
Yeah, whatever. If they allow him to do some work down there, too bad they don't have that 3rd receiver like Odell or Amari Cooper, or they need that 3rd receiver, man. I don't think the 2 little guys bigger who's your size is going to be able to get it done in the NFL. I'm not sure about that. I'm not confident in that. But Russell could be one of those guys, man.
Very true.
Rookie of the year, I said this weeks ago. I think your boy Najee Harris. For Pittsburgh, they can't rely on the old veteran big men. I think they're going to have to rely on some youth, and the youth of Najee Harris to catch and run out the backfield could change the makeup of that whole team. I think he could be easily Rookie of the Year. Cleveland, Shohei Ohtani leading the league at 4. Did you fact check that? Leading the league at home runs, 43 home runs this season.
Cam, baseball moves at the speed of light, and it's kind of hard to tell. It's very stat driven, so I haven't been paying that much attention to it.
All right, well,
I know him and Vlad been going back and forth.
No, there's not going back and forth. He has 43. Vlad just hit 40 the other night. So
Okay.
it's 93 RBIs. He's 9-1 as a pitcher. Okay. And with 9-1 as a pitcher, 112 innings pitched, and he has an ERA under 3. Okay, 2.7. So he's doing his thing right there. Since you don't want to look up these stats, I had to look them up for you, Mr. Baseball. That's going to be the league MVP, right? Without question, right? That's already done. Did already engrave the trophy, and is it down there in Anaheim yet?
Well, I mean, the way you're talking, the way the fans love him, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised.
So I know you're a little bitter because the Mariners didn't get him, because he kind of turned his back on the Mariners. But go ahead with your Mariners soliloquy.
I'm actually not going to do it. I'm simply going to say Mariners are 3 games back. Could be one game back had they won yesterday, but hey, they beat the Houston Astros today. They're
500. They're 500. See, fans, I have to go fact check this guy because they're 500 over the last 10 games. He keeps saying 3 games back. They're three games back of their division lead. 6.5 games back.
No. In the wild card. In the wild card.
That's their division, right? No, they're 6.
No. See, get it straight, man. Get it straight. Let me help you out. Houston Astros are in their division, and the Houston Astros are winning that division. The Mariners are 3 games back with Boston in front of them.
So you say 3 games back of not number 1.
Excuse me. Yankees and Boston are in front.
Mariners ain't making the playoff, bro. You can come down off the host.
Okay. Well, when they do, it's gonna be sad time for you.
Fans, I want to leave you guys with this quote: "The difference between the impossible and the possible lies in a person's determination." The late great Sammy Sosa, he probably said that with some curse words in there. Knowing Tommy as like when I met Tommy, he was full of it. So
did you say the late great Sammy Sosa? Did Sammy Sosa die?
No, I said. Did I say Sammy Sosa? My bad. Tommy Lasorda is what I meant to say. I said there was probably
that makes a world of difference, man. Say it again.
There was probably some curse words in there when he probably said that.
You said Sammy Sosa.
Did I say Sammy?
It off.
I didn't say Sammy Sosa. I didn't think, man.
You did. You said, do it again, man. Quote one more time.
The difference between the impossible and the possible.
I was like, did he bleach his skin?
The difference between.
Why is he quoting Sammy? Go ahead. Sorry.
The possible and the impossible and the possible lies in a person's determination. That was the late great Tommy Lasorda.
Okay. Said
that. I didn't say Sammy Sosa, man. Stop.
Words of encouragement.
Yeah. Just be determined, man. Just be determined in all you do. Fans, I want to thank you guys for tuning in to this week's Voice of the Fans podcast, man. I hope you guys enjoy the NFL week 1 of the NFL season this week here. Enjoy some college football if you can, and even watch a little baseball. But right now, fans, we're gonna take a break from the show. We're gonna come back to you. We'll have a fresh show for you next week, 156 episode.
It will be great because we'll have some results from that week 1.
Mm-hmm. We'll have some results of the week 1. We'll have some fantasy football conversation for you. Hey, do you want to review your team? Because do you remember who you picked on your squad?
I do, man, but it's a little too early. Let's wait till after week 1, after they display what they're truly capable of.
Oh, that's cool.
I'll wait till
then. Aaron Jones gonna do his thing, and then everybody's gonna be eating crow after giving me a hard time about picking him number 1. So, fans, thank you guys for tuning in. Another fantastic show. Please, if you have not yet, hit the subscribe button on Voice of the Fans on YouTube page, and you can see the show live. If you're already watching this show on Voice of the Fans, go to HNB Media TV. You can see us there, and then also you can find us when you're on the go. Any podcast platform that you use, Spotify, TuneIn, iHeartRadio, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts. We're on all those platforms as well for you to check out. Clevon, I want to thank you for your time, sir. Fans want to thank you all as well for your time. And as always, fans, thank you for making our voice your choice. Have a good one, Chief.
Can't wait till next week. See you soon.